pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll with planet. Flight downside of speed off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.
Good morning, space fans. Let me know if you can hear and see this morning. We are live once again from Boca Chica, Texas. John Galloway with NASA Spaceflight here, and we have a little bit of a Martian-looking morning with Starship SN15 out there on the launch pad. Things are shaping up for an attempt today, and we are going to see if we get a flight. One way to find out. Let me know if you can hear me. Give me a 5x5 in chat. You are part of our remote production crew, and why are there 20,000 people almost waiting for this stream to start? No pressure or anything, I guess, huh? We are going to be bringing you live coverage from all over Boca Chica. Today, we've got people that are rolled out there. We'll have people back in the studio. In fact, right now, I think I've got Michael Baylor with me. Michael, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, and hopefully we will see a Starship launch attempt today. Right now, the latest word is that they are proceeding with launch attempt, but SpaceX has not officially confirmed it on their website yet, which usually means there's some uncertainty. So we'll wait and see what happens, but like usual, this is a test flight, so schedules are very fluid, and we are not going to get a lot of official information, so we will keep you up to date with the FAA, the flight restrictions, the road closures, and all the key indicators. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we will get a countdown today.
Yeah, and I can tell you there's already one thing that is a good sign that SpaceX is looking for a flight. It looks like the flaps are no longer ratcheted down and have actually extended a little bit. You can see there in the silhouette in our view that the flaps are a little extended. They're not completely in the stowed position. So somebody probably has taken those straps off, and they've been doing some tests, it looks like. Like Michael said, also, we are waiting for all the important things that need to occur before a launch. So road closures, TFRs, all that stuff. I think the only things we're really missing is an official stream link from SpaceX, right?
Yeah, so basically everything right now is everything that has to happen to have a launch attempt is happening. Official confirmation from SpaceX usually happens, but they can definitely launch without that. But all the necessary hazard zones and road closures are all in effect or scheduled to go into effect for a launch attempt today.
Right. Sounds good. So as we get more news, we'll let y'all know what's going on. Right now, we're live because we think that there's a pretty good chance that SpaceX is going to go for it today. So as usual, we're going to be taking live questions. If you have questions for us, tag us in chat at NASA Spaceflight. Also, a ton of super chats tend to come in during these streams. We'll be trying to read those out and say thank you as we can, but we never try to make it just a super chat reading show. We do try to mix it up with free questions that anybody can ask and super chats. A lot of times there's questions in there. Either way, we will be here for you. Now, it looks like while I was doing the introduction, somebody else may have snuck in to the... You'd think there'd be like a door or something here. Chris, do we have you on comms right now?
You do. There is a door, but I just barged through it. I don't care.
Barged right in all of a sudden, and it's like, well, I guess this guy's going to talk. Welcome, Chris Bergen, the managing editor for NASA Spaceflight. How you doing this, well, not morning for you, but morning for Starship?
Afternoon, but yeah, I'm unfeasibly excited. I've got this strange feeling in my bones that this one's going to work. It's going to work out really well. Of course, the thing's got to launch first, but I'm really hopeful. I don't know why. I've got no real technical reason for saying that other than the upgrades, but you know when you get those feelings on a launch day where you think everything's going to go well? And some days you think, ooh, I'm a bit iffy about this one. Today I'm feeling really positive. I really do feel that this one has got a great chance of succeeding. And I hope so, because I think all the eyes are on it, especially with the HLS award.
Oh, yeah.
You can imagine there's some executives at certain space companies thinking, if this one crashes and burns, we can sort of like help this with our protest. I don't think that would make any reference to the protest at all, because I think NASA's set a decision, and I don't think anything will go wrong with that change of contract, shall we say. I think that's going to stay as it is. But if this one lands, it'll be just great timing. It really will for all the things that are going in the timeline. And then
Yeah.
we can start looking forward to some higher tests, and we can start looking forward to the orbital test. And if you think we're excited today, if you think there's so many people in this live stream with hours to go before the launch, for this test, wait until you see a Starship on a Super Heavy on the orbital launch site. That will drive people absolutely balmy, and for all the right reasons. So
Yeah, well.
I'm unfeasibly excited.
I mean, even at some point, we're going to see the booster, the super heavy booster, stacked with the Starship on top. And just that is going to look ridiculous. They've been working on that OLP, the orbital launch platform, and the big tower over there as well. They're actually building tower segments to stack on top of each other. And, we're like, oh, Starship, it's so tall. Right now, Starship's like 50 meters for Starship, maybe 10 meters for the stand. So that's 60 meters. And the tower itself is going to be more than double that. So if you think that things are popping out at Boca Chica today, wait until they start getting some of these larger structures ready to go. So as we do early in the morning here, we will start seeing if we can't get some questions out of chat. In fact, there's a good question. Hang on a second. Are we already on Mars? Why exactly is the sky orange? So this is all just camera trickery, like the direction that the cameras are pointing. When we look at it from the beach, we don't have the sunrise in the background. This sort of has the sunrise off to the left-hand side. You can see that super shiny glint off of the flaps and Starship's sort of a underbelly there. But when we switch back over to this angle, this actually has the sun right behind it. So it's sort of peering through the haze. It's a little bit further away, and it's trying to look over its Starship with the sun almost directly in its eyes. It doesn't have sunglasses or like a hat or anything like that. And so this turns out to be a little bit of orange because it's got that sun right in the shot. And over from the beach angle, this has the sun off to one side. So we're sort of looking at the shiny bits of Starship instead of the silhouette of Starship. I think we were watching something going on back at the productions. Oh, there you go. All right. Well, we had this looking back at the production site. There was actually a booster dome that was going to flip, and we were going to spend some time trying to catch that. But there you can actually see the sun rising up behind Starship. That's the test site about 1.5 miles away as the camera has ears and magically starts to pan up. Two big cranes over there as well. Are we going to point the camera directly at the sun?
No, we're not going to burn the iris.
Never look directly at the sun.
Yeah, never. It needs some
Kids.
of those the eclipse glasses or something, right? But even that, look at that shot. Even that's a cool shot with those cranes in the foreground. Of course, the cranes have been moved away from the test site, just in case. Starships. Cranes don't have as much confidence as Chris B has this morning, but that's okay. Cranes are big, expensive pieces of equipment. And look at that distant shot there with the sun rising almost directly behind the test site. How shall we get started here? Shall we just answered a question about the sky being orange. Well, I guess I said that it's because of the way the camera's pointing. I didn't say something about dust or atmospheric scattering or anything like that. The sun's in the shot. That's the idea. But let's see if we don't have any other questions. Renee making a comment there. The straps were removed yesterday in the previous video, so our daily videos, Chris, showed some straps removed, apparently. We do have the daily videos that come out just about every single day showing what's going on, not just the flight operations or test operations, but construction and stuff that happens. Those are those daily videos that Mary Boca Chica Gal is out there filming every day. And of course, we're expecting to have Mary here on the live stream with her own camera angle a little bit later. We are not bothering her this early in the morning because she's got, if SpaceX asks her to evacuate, she's going to have to get out of the village, get over to a safe spot. But when she takes off, she will be taking another live stream rig out with her. Of course, she is the person out there at Boca Chica who makes a lot of this coverage possible. So massive thanks to Mary Boca Chica Gal. I know she's super busy this morning. Also, Jack Beyer is out there right now. He's not on the live stream, but he has a remote broadcast unit as well that he'll be spooling up. So we'll have multiple different camera angles for the coverage here as we stand by for a launch of SN15. Again, everything looks like it's shaping up this morning. Not quite launch time yet, but that's how we do it. We tend to go live when the sun is coming up, and when there's a potential launch, we make an all-day Starship-a-palooza out of it. So, Chris, can you grab a couple super chats real quick?
Yeah, I just want to quickly point out that we were talking about daily videos.
Oh, yeah.
We've also got the fact that SN16 is now stacked in the high bay. So regardless of what happens to SN15 today, or if it launches today, there's another vehicle just down the road again. It's a continual thing with SpaceX where you've got one rocket on a pad, and sometimes, as the case was, 2 rockets on a launch site. But now we've got SN16 in the high bay, which is another modified vehicle. So if this one goes well, we can probably expect SN16 to go even higher than what SN15 does today. And then you're looking at, if both of those are successful, we might see a scenario. Oh, there's SN16 as we speak.
Yep.
So we might see a scenario where, as with SN5 and SN6, where they both did a tag team of 150-meter hops, when no both have succeeded, Elon decided, okay, let's now go on to the full stack Starships. There's a potential of SN15 landing and SN16 landing from a higher altitude, and Elon saying, okay, let's now go with Super Heavy. So this could really accelerate. If this one goes well, this could really accelerate the schedule towards this orbital launch, because I wrote an article, which Elon confirmed, where they were going to go for an orbital attempt in the summer, literally in a few months' time. That's how close they are to really going for this orbital attempt. Of course, you're looking at TPS. We're looking at a Starship which is covered in TPS for the orbital attempt. Or they may just go orbital and not bring it back. There's so many scenarios here. We don't really know until Elon says something, because SpaceX don't have an updated website page other than when they do a live stream or anything like that, just a general update. There's only the official line of updates via Elon's Twitter feed, which is both hilarious but useful, because that does confirm. That is your confirmation when Elon tweets something. I do think we're on a path to that orbital launch still this summer, which I always pause when I say, because it sounds crazy. It's an amazing cadence they've got there. But if that happens, can you imagine that they will have an orbital Starship before SLS rolls to 39B? That is the crazy thing about it. We covered SLS's arrival at the core stage for Artemis 1, arrival at Kennedy Space Center just the other week. That has been 5 years in development just for that core stage. And they could be going orbital at Boca Chica when this place was just a tent 2 years ago. This entire facility was just a tent 2 years ago. That is surreal to me. So yeah, I'm really excited about what this could bring if this one lands properly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was able to go out there, and it was literally just hopper on the side of the road and the little windbreak building, and that's all that existed when I was last out there, about not quite 2 years ago, like a little bit less than 2 years ago. And the amount of production, I mean, even look at the top of the high bay right now. You see all the construction that's happened on the top of the high bay? That's apparently supposed to be that observation deck and bar and grill or whatever you want.
Yeah, I was going to say,
there.
Is it an observation deck or is it just a bar?
Yeah, it's like a bar and grill or something like that. Oh, Mars Cam doesn't like that wire. We'll get a nice close-up view of that wire. Here we go.
You
can see somebody walking around up there. Oh, geez. You could just see the silhouette of somebody walking around up there. And they're still just up there working. That wire is the bane of our existence. With the robots, it's really hard to do manual focus all the time. And look, there's just people up there working, walking around.
That's going to be some view there.
Jeez. Oh, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, when Elon first mentioned it, we didn't know if he was joking, because Elon does like to do the occasional joke on Twitter about what he's going to do. But no, you are building a star bar up there. So that is something where VIPs, you can imagine the Dear Moon gang would definitely be one of the first people up there. If they could watch test launches from that position up there, I think that's going to be awe-inspiring.
Jeez.
I just hope they open it out to general nobodies like myself. Because I guarantee you that if I go to Boca Chica and things calm down, I want to go up there.
If I don't know,
I might even go. I might even sell my soul and do an @Elon on Twitter. For people who don't know, I don't like doing @Elon or tagging Elon every single tweet like everyone else does. I just don't know why. It doesn't. Maybe I'm old. It just doesn't seem right to keep knocking on people's doors like that. So, but I think I would in that case. Yeah.
Look, that scaffold on the left-hand side. Does somebody climb up on that scaffold to work on the side of the building? Good grief. just looking at that. There's like a little walkway on that scaffold above their heads. But
We've seen some daredevil workers when they're constructing the high bay. They're literally just swinging around on those stanchions on like ropes. I mean, obviously they're professionals; they know what they're doing, and it's all health and safety. But now they've got that little kind of crane lift, haven't they, on the elevator, I should say, on the right hand side of this view. If you can pan slide, I don't know if it's up or down, but that is quite a roller coaster in itself. That's like an open cage elevator. Here we go.
Yeah.
We're moving.
Yep.
Bots on command.
Oh,
Is it
no,
up there?
no.
No, it's not. But there's the actual elevator stanchion which it goes up and down on. And on the time lapses of when SN16 was getting its nose cone mated, the time lapse showed how fast that lift goes. Exaggerated, of course, but that's some roller coaster.
It like goes screaming up and down when we speed up the video. So we're talking about the tower-looking thing on the right-hand side that's sort of separate from the high bay. That's a construction elevator. I think it's a temporary construction elevator. I wonder how you're going to get up there when they remove that construction elevator. Are they going to install a more permanent elevator or what? Like, you don't use a construction elevator to get the bar and grill, but anyways,
I
y'all.
think they will.
Yeah, like a more permanent elevator, maybe like on one side or something like that or something. But we know that y'all did not come to this stream to see workers working on top of a massive building. You came here. You did. Oh, okay, cool. Well, we'll just leave it on this camera. Most of you probably came here for Starship, and we are standing by for a launch of Starship SN15. Things look like they are shaping up today. All the notices and warnings and things like that in effect. And we are waiting for SpaceX themselves to confirm that they're going for it, because it looks like we stand back and we watch everything that happens. And they filed for a road closure, and they filed for a TFR, the flight restriction. And they've closed the waters for boats and all these different things that happen. You know, they've unstrapped the flaps. And are they going to clear the launch pad? Let's see if that happens. Are they going to evacuate the village? But we sort of sit here and wait to see what is happening. And it looks like they're moving towards a potential launch. Nice bird.
Questions here, by the way, Daz. So let's read out some questions, shall we?
Go for it. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, Oliver. Good morning, everyone. We've had no Raptor swap this time. Good point. Do you think the improvements of the Raptors installed on SN15 are responsible for that? I'll paraphrase his question. But yeah, they certainly are upgraded. We don't know the specifics of this. We don't know what exactly they've done with the Raptors as far as the improvements go. We just know that Elon has mentioned in passing things like, you know, the test firings like the MVAC have gone very well. I think we can judge from putting the pieces together that the new Raptor range, shall we say, I think from like the late SN50s onwards through SN60s, have all been modified to the point where they're more confident with how they've been performing at McGregor, and now they've brought them to Starbase, and hopefully this will result in good landing burns, because the Raptors have been performing very well. That's why I was kind of pausing when I was saying that, because the Raptors are a development engine. This is still a new engine. The fact that they've got these launches up to apogee is incredible in itself. Then they got the massive win of the belly flop and the controlled stable return. These were things they weren't too sure about. Let's face it. We could have had explosions on the launch mount. We could have had, you know, vehicles veering off into the Gulf. There's lots of things that could have gone wrong. The fact that the only thing they've got to get right is this landing bird, and they had SN10, which did land. Let's face it, it did land, just landed hard, and then committed suicide at the end of it. But it is a case of things going very well, just tweaks and refinements. The answer to that question is yes. The fact they've not had a swap since the static fires is a good point, because normally they do. So these three engines have all performed very well so far, and that gives me extra hope this one will land properly. So, yeah, the answer to that question is a yes, but of course I give 3-minute answers to every good question, so there you go. Questions about the FAA? Yeah, the FAA all seems on board now. They've now given permission for 3 flights, I believe it is. So we don't have to, like for SN16, we don't have to wait with our fingers crossed waiting for the FAA to say, yes, we've completed our investigations into the previous flight, you go for launch. Now, they've given that permission. So obviously, they're quite happy with SpaceX's safety, their perimeters, the way the vehicles are handled with the FTS, and they've obviously looked into this to the point where even if SN15 does crash and burn, they seem quite happy. I'm sure they'll do another investigation, but they've given permission for 3 launches. So they're obviously a lot more confident and a lot more accepting of how SpaceX is testing these vehicles. Owen McPeak. This is Dad Owen from Sarah McPeak's donation on Friday. Love what you guys do. I obviously have the most awesome daughter ever. If you run into space at JPL first, let them know that she's an extraordinary Army vet, geospatial engineer, and geologist. Ah,
Cool.
Owen's been a great dad there. He's not only praising his daughter, he's trying to get her a job. So, well, we've read it out. So there you go. You never know who's listening. There's 30,000. There's 30,000 people. There's 30,000 people watching already. We're hours from launch. Let's face it. We know we're hours from launch because there's no evacuation just yet.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's Starship.
Hi,
People
y'all.
love
How's it
Starship.
going?
Jed just says thank you for everything you do. Really appreciate that. We've got more people. Let's see, I'm looking for questions. You see, that's why I really appreciate people saying great coverage and what have you. It really means a lot to us. But we'll try to look for questions so we can answer
Save the praise for us. You answer the questions, and we'll read through the praise later.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the weather, question on the weather there. The weather is looking quite well, I do believe. I think it's the wind strength. Correct me if I'm wrong. Probably better for later in the winter, because that is one of the main concerns for... We've seen the thing launch in fog, let's face it. I don't think visibility is ever going to be an issue now.
Oh,
we know that SN11 can launch in a cloak.
Yeah, it's an issue for us.
Yes, yeah. But as far, I think wind is the big thing, especially high altitude winds. And so far, I do believe it's looking quite good today, later in the winter. So obviously, they're not going to launch in the next few hours. We know that for a fact because it's simply not evacuated. So they won't launch when there's people in the area. But later in the winter, I do believe, like midday onwards, local time, that the winds will be within the parameters we do expect to be acceptable for launch. And that's when we do expect they'll probably go for it. So yeah, that's looking pretty good today, compared to previous days, should we say, at least.
And the window is from noon to 8 p.m. today, local time. So sometime in that window is when we expect the flight to happen. We're not sure exactly where, though, in that window it's going to happen because schedules are so fluid.
Got a compatriot here, Buzz Hort, watching from the UK. Let's go SN15. How long do you think it will be until they launch the booster? Now, we were just talking about it earlier, but how long until? That's a very good question. I honestly don't know. You've got several things in play here. First of all, you've got Elon's push timeline, which is always highly ambitious. He probably does that on purpose because he's management. He's the boss. Now, if you've got a boss saying, I want something by X day, your workforce are going to try and do that. They're going to push towards that date. They may not achieve that date because it is too tight, but they will probably go faster than if the boss had said nothing in the first place, if they'd stuck to their own personal internal timelines. So there's a very good management strategy behind Elon time, which I know he hates people saying, so hopefully he's not listening. But it's something where Elon has got this whip, shall we say. And he's saying, I want this by X day, I want this by X day, I want this by X day. The workers all work to that date. They may not achieve it. They may be back a few weeks later. But that's still going to be faster than if he'd said nothing. So he's wanting this by July, this orbital attempt. I don't think that will happen because I think that's just too ambitious a timeline. But if it happens in August, that'd be amazing. So that's later than he wants it, but that will still be far faster than if he'd said nothing. So I'm going to say still stick with the summer, especially if SN15 and SN16 go well. That's a long-winded way of saying me thinking that it will happen this summer. But as far as a date, we don't know that until, close to the time. But I am so looking forward to that super heavy booster rolling down Highway 4 just on its own. That's going to be an amazing event in itself.
Insane. That's going to be insane.
Didi Putti asks, what chances do you think SN15 have for a successful landing today? And thanks for our whole team for your good coverage. Oh, thank you very much. Regards from Sweden. Ah, very nice. Chances, do you want a percentage? Because I don't know. I'm going to go with 90%. A completely random figure, but I'm not kind of positive towards an SN15 success today. I'm going to go with 90%. That's probably too much because this is a test program. This really is. I mean, that's why they've got all these prototypes, because they know they're going to lose some. But just based on the previous launches, what went wrong and how they've mitigated what went wrong, the way they've learned from those, I don't like calling them failures. The way they've learned from those failures, should we just call them failures because they crashed? I think so much has gone right that the only things that need to get solved and resolved are the landing burn. That is a flip and landing burn. Those are the relights of the Raptors. I think they've refined how they do that landing burn to the point where they've got more chance of success, even with a Raptor going bad. I think providing they get the flip and burn done with Raptor relight and they don't lose an engine, they're going to have every chance to land this on a landing pad. And I think, if the landing legs don't deploy, fair enough. As long as it's a slow touchdown, I think she'll land on her aft and she'll stand upright and she'll be okay. And that will be a success. So I'm very hopeful. I'm sticking with 90%. What do you think, Daz?
Oh, geez.
Give us a figure.
You know me. I'm always like, well, I don't have all the information that SpaceX has. And I really want it to work. It's just such a wacky maneuver. Oh, gosh, it's such a wacky maneuver. The whole flip thing where it has to do the belly flop to the flip at the last second. You can't do it too early because you burn too much fuel. And you can't do it too late because, well, then you burn all the fuel once in a huge fireball. But I really want it to go, but I feel like everything's 50-50 until they do one, and then I'll upgrade them to 90-10 or something like that. Am I a spoil sport? Is that bad this early in the morning for me to say 50-50 till they actually get one done?
It's entitled to their opinion. I'm going with 90%.
That's fine. Hey,
oh,
that's
dear.
fine.
Ron, hang on, look at this. Ron Smith has spent $99.99 on a super chat, which only says take a shot every time Chris B mentions shuttle. Well, for a start, that's a lot of way just to make that joke. And secondly, you're going to be very drunk by the end of the stream if you give me if you want to take a shot every time I mention shuttle, because I will guarantee you mention shuttle. In fact, I've done well. This is the first time I've mentioned shuttle on the stream already. So. And it was only because someone asked me about it. So that's fair enough. Come on.
Now, all the times where you just said shuttle, does that count?
Yeah, it does. He's got to take 6 shots there.
All right, Ron, there you go. I don't make the rules. That's the boss talking. So, Ron, thank you so much. $100 is a super generous amount of support here, making what we do possible. Y'all, the live streams don't just magically burst forth from the ether. It does take a lot of work and a lot of expense and a lot of just data, honestly, getting the little pixels and bits and electronic pieces from the field out to our servers, out to YouTube, so that they can be sent back out to y'all. The YouTube part's not that big of a deal, but just bringing in the videos takes a lot of mobile data. I've got a graph, actually, how many gigabytes of mobile data we use on a daily basis, because the robots aren't just bringing in live videos. Sometimes you'll see the robots make appearances in the daily videos where we'll task one of them to catch something and say, all right, Mary, we're going to go. Robots are watching the dome flip. You get some rest. So thank you so much for the support. That is super generous.
And Thomas says, someone's going to take another shot here. Thomas says, I'm visiting Shuttle Discovery tomorrow at the newly reopened Smithsonian. And I'll say hello to her for Chris. Yay! Keep up the great work. You all rock. Well, thank you very much, Thomas, and well done for keeping your space. Shall we say your space badge? Let's say keeping your space badge nice and updated, because let's not forget where we've come from. We've come from the space shuttle program where there was a situation where I was always going to retire at some point. They were hoping to go to the Constellation program, which got cancelled, and we were all thinking, what's next? Oh dear, what's next? We've had that massive turnaround with commercial crew, SpaceX. We've now got this amazing vehicle, this amazing capability coming online with Starship, which is SpaceX. When people talk about SpaceX and NASA, they do forget that it's not SpaceX versus NASA, it's SpaceX and NASA. And what intrigues me the most is what NASA's going to get involved with Starship. We've seen it already with HLS. This vehicle is going to land humans back on the moon. This vehicle we're looking at right now. It's the prototype version of it, yes, but a lunar Starship is going to land people on the surface of the moon. If that doesn't tell you why we've been covering this so extensively, then nothing will. But even before the HLS award, it was an amazing vehicle for what it can achieve, not least eventually getting humans onto the surface of Mars. So we've come a long way, but I think it is important that we remember where we've come from. People are watching that series on Apple TV, that For All Mankind. That's an alternative history of where things could have gone. And we're now into this alternative history now where it's no longer NASA designing and building their own vehicles. SLS will be the last vehicle NASA designs, I guarantee you. Next, it'll all be commercial vehicles like this. And the potential this vehicle brings towards space exploration is hard to really comprehend. It really is. This could bring so much capability. It could be a massive game changer. Oh, lots of references to May the 4th. I've not mentioned that yet. It's May the 4th
right.
with you.
And also with you, Chris. And also with you. I don't know if that helps me with my upbringing there, but anyways, that's every time somebody says May the 4th be with you, I always think also with you. Chat.
That'd be a wonderful launch day, wouldn't it? But
yeah.
I think there'd be some good headlines to be made out of that if they do launch today and it's a success.
I mean, we could do some jokes about, oh, it actually uses force, F equals ma, but anyways, it's a Star Wars thing, folks.
Oh, question from Marty. What kind of navigation avionics does Starship carry? That's a very good question because I don't know. I wonder if that's part of the... There's a certain amount of things about Starship we do know. Let's face it, Starship development we followed very closely, thanks to Mary and all the daily videos, and it's all out in the open. We can watch Raptors rolling down the road, and we can have a good look at the Raptors. That's not ITAR because all the secret source stuff is inside of the actual engine, which you can't see from photographs. So that's fine. That's why people get surprised by saying, why don't they cover them? The reason why I say that is because they might get dust on them. You know, I've always watched RS-25s being rolled with big covers on them because they don't want to get any kind of like dust on them. But with Raptors, you can tell they're quite sturdy engines if the fact they can roll them down on a forklift truck down Highway 4, which is quite a bumpy road apparently, then just install them. That shows how well made these engines are. But as far as some other elements of the vehicle, such as the avionics, a lot of that is proprietary, and that's where SpaceX do not talk about it. They don't put PDFs online saying this is our schematics. They don't do that, and no company does that. It's not just SpaceX. If anything, SpaceX are one of the most open companies because they allow people to take photos. They could easily say, look, we're going to put like an exclusion zone around this area and probably work with the local authorities to do that. They could easily do that if they wanted to do it. So the fact that they don't do that and let people film, I think not only provides them free PR, which I'm sure they appreciate because of the interest in Starship, and it is a commercial program, but also the fact that you can look at some other companies without naming too many names. They don't even like you taking pictures of their launch pad with no vehicle on it.
Yeah.
You know, there's some real restrictions involved with other companies that makes you appreciate how open SpaceX are, and we all appreciate it. I'm sure everybody appreciates it. Oh, John Marr, any updates on the oil rig landing platforms? That's intriguing because we're looking at this orbital launch site on the right-hand side there. That is where Super Heavy is going to launch from and land, apparently. You know, so that's what they're working on right now. But they are also working on Phobos and Deimos, the two oil rigs that they're converting into landing pads, probably launching pads. We don't know. We just know they're going to be involved. Now, the progress they're currently making is to take off all the existing oil structures. There's quite a lot of compartments and living quarters, which they're going to have to take down and remove to make it more of a clean pad situation and then put them near structures. We've not seen what the final version will look like because SpaceX has not done an update yet. We've always had that once a year Elon update, but of course with the pandemic, that's being put back, you know, to probably later this year, all being well. We don't know. I mean, I'm sure Elon could do like an online version of it, but I think he likes to do it in front of an audience, and that's when obviously the restrictions need to come down from what they are right now.
Yeah.
I would love to see some updated CGI videos and some renders from SpaceX, because there's some amazing talent out there on Twitter and, you know, other various sites who can envision what things will look like, but they are envisioning and not actually going on official renders. So I don't know what they will look like in the end, but currently the status is they're taking down all the existing structures, such as the living quarters and even the helicopter pads getting removed from Phobos, I believe. So yeah, that's where they are right now with those oil rigs.
It's like demo day on the oil rigs. They're taking out all the oil equipment, the oil energy equipment that they don't need, and they're going to almost, I don't know if they're going to go all the way down to like a clean slate just with the platform, but then they'll go back and add in the Starship related stuff. But they're still demoing stuff, just removing junk they don't think that they need.
I just want to see the render of the catch tower for the booster.
Yeah. I honestly, I tell you what, I thought he was joking. I honestly thought he was joking. He tweeted out, Elon doesn't do many winks on his tweets, so you never know if he is joking or not. He has started doing that more recently, I think, probably with his SNL live appearance coming up. But it's something where he said, we're going to catch the moose with big arms. I was like, no, you're not. Stop teasing people on Twitter. That's not fair, Elon. And I think I did. I did a quote going so like, haha, so like that. Oh God! And of course, it's real. It's real. He's planning it. So that's Elon. He's thought, I don't like landing legs on my super heavy booster. Let's catch the thing with giant arms on the launch integration tower. How's that going to work? So
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, so Chris, I think about that in whatever you save in not having the landing legs on the booster. How do you not have to put that mass up reinforcing the grid fins or whatever you're catching it with? Like, you've got to reinforce the rocket so that it can take the force of landing. Whether that's on the bottom of the rocket or up at the top of the rocket, it's got to take the force. So I don't... maybe it's just a turnaround time thing more than it is like an efficiency thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we'll just land it there and we'll get it ready to go right again because it's just landing really close to the launch pad, you know? Maybe that's what he's going for. Gosh, it's crazy. It's crazy, Chris.
But the thing is, with Elon, he's got a team. You know, he comes up with these ideas. He doesn't go and then go build. He doesn't go into his garage and starts building these things. He's got a massive team. You know, I'd love the idea of him going to his garage with like a welding tool. I'm making these giant arms. I'll be in for dinner later. But it's something. He's got his team. His team might have come up with the idea. I mean, Elon's the chief designer. That's why I always say Elon has thought of this idea. He probably has, but he's got this massive team behind him, who will then go and initiate his designs. And somewhere in SpaceX in Hawthorne, there's some drawings, there's some computer programs, there's some renders of this catching device.
Yeah,
and probably
it's gotta be.
Yeah, there will be. I mean, there'll be simulations of it, and I would love to see it. You know what? I hope when his tweets come out, when he mentions these things, he starts showing a few, you know, renders and CGI examples like he has at the Starship updates. We first saw that landing burn and flip, you know, on a Starship update. And we all thought that's crazy. He showed the actual computational design of it. They were actual SpaceX computational renders of the landing flip. And we're all like, it's going to do what at landing? You know, we thought that was a joke.
Yeah, that was the one on Mars, right? It was like the computational, like not CFD, but just the how it was supposed to work. And we're watching this like, wait, what?
It's going to do what landing? Yeah, and that's that. We've seen when we first saw that SN8. Oh my word, that was something else. When it just relit its engines and flipped its aft out, we thought this is not real. This can't be happening, and that was incredible. I mean, if that shows you how Elon's mind is working, then yes, he can have catching arms on his tower, as far as I'm concerned, because he whatever he comes up with, it tends to work. So I am super excited, but I don't know how it's going to work. That's the only thing, because it's going to catch it by its grid fins. They're going to have to reinforce these grid fins. And
has he said that?
Well,
has he said we're going?
You know, that's a fair point. Has he said that? No, I don't think he said it. We've just gone on the fact that what he's mentioned so far, every envisioning that's come out so far, based on that, has seen him being caught on the grid fins, because that's the only thing that can catch it on.
But I think the latest he said was that there would be. No, I'm not. I don't want to. Yeah. Now I'm forgetting what the latest was, but he did say originally the grid fins. I think it might change slightly.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. It's going to, either way you slice it, like it's going to be super interesting to see what they start building. Sometimes I wonder if Elon likes us guessing. Like when he puts something out there and he starts building stuff, I think he eats it up. Like he's there on
he loves
Twitter and SpaceX ideas and stuff like that on Reddit, and he's like watching these things, like chuckling to himself when we come up with all these wacky ideas, like nose cone jail. You know, I like everybody guessing what the nose cone jail is for. We know that it's a stress test rig, but when we first started building this thing, everybody's just it almost drives even more interest and hype, because we're all like, what tarnation are they building now? What is that wacky thing? And if SpaceX just came out and said this will be a stress test rig, like it wouldn't be as exciting as 2 weeks of people trying to guess what the heck is going on, you know?
The latest was load points just below the grid fins. That's right. I
thought
I remember that, but I didn't want to say it until I checked Elon's tweets, because things change so quickly. But apparently there'll be some sort of load points below the grid fins. So not the grid fins themselves that will be taking the force of the catch tower.
Gotcha. Y'all, I see in chat, I mean, you are right. You can put dampeners on the tower, and you can have some sort of big elastic slingshot mechanism, moon bouncy house trampoline, not even sure. But either way you slice it, it is going to be super interesting to see what they come up with, and we will be here to cover it. We'll have Mary out there. She'll be taking photos of what's going on, daily videos, and as they build this stuff, whatever they're doing to build it, we'll see what it looks like. Watch, they're going to take 2 of the crew access arms from 39A, and it's just going to be 2 crew access arm looking things that just flop back and forth to catch the booster. I made that up. That's not true.
If you told anybody about all this Starship stuff, like 4 years ago, let's say 4 years ago, 5 years ago maybe, and just said, this is what they're going to do. They're going to have this Starship test program. They're going to do these launches to Apogee and then like 10 kilometers and bring it back, flip the aft out and land them on a landing pad like that. You know, they're going to come down belly flop style and they're going to flip the aft out. Oh, and by the way, they're going to have a super heavy booster that's bigger than the Saturn V. They're going to do that one and catch it by the tower when they bring it back for landing. They're not going to do landing legs. They're going to catch it with big giant mechanical arms on the launch tower. If I tweeted that 5 years ago, I would have got ridiculed from here to Dundee, and rightly so, because it sounds crazy. And that's why I think we love this program. I think that's why it's caught the imagination of people. Not because it's just Elon, which always draws attention. Not because it's SpaceX, which everyone kind of like gets into because of all their landing boosters and everything like that. It's the fact that they're doing things that are sci-fi. A lot of us have got into this via Star Trek and sci-fi shows. A lot of us have got into this via that. And the fact that Elon is bringing sci-fi to reality is just a massive attraction. And I tell you one thing, I have no problem with that whatsoever, because it really is. I remember, and someone's going to have to take a drink again, but I remember the days of shuttle. There was a huge amount of interest for that area of the internet. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot of interest in it, but nothing like this. Nothing close to this. If we were doing a live stream for a shuttle program, you get a lot of people for the launches, and a lot of people for the returns, but you wouldn't get a lot of people for rollout. You wouldn't get a lot of people for like VAB mate. You wouldn't get a lot of things for rollover from the OPF, because it was something that had happened for 20, 30 years. People had seen it before. They got used to it. That was a horrible complacency of routine. You never say routine with spaceflight. There's nothing routine about spaceflight. And it bit NASA in the butt 2 times. You know, this is something where you always have to be as good as your last launch. And this one is a test program where they're going to launch Starship hundreds and hundreds of times. I think Elon said thousands, but I think that's an exaggeration. Hundreds of times before they put a crew on this vehicle. So this is a test program where they're going to fly this thing so many times they'll understand it far more than shuttle, because shuttle flew 135 times. They're going to fly this hundreds of times before they put a crew on it, and it's not got all the safety risks shuttle had. This is what shuttle wanted to be. I said it before, Starship is what shuttle always hoped it would be: a rapidly reusable heavy lift launch system, but with the capability of leaving low Earth orbit. It's everything we've always wanted. It's our wish list of a rocket. So that's why there's so much excitement involved around this. Also, I've got a question here about Starlink. Yes, there is a launch today. There's a Starlink launch from 39A on the 10th flight of a Falcon 9 booster. Just because today wasn't interesting enough, SpaceX decided to launch a Starlink mission with a heritage booster from 39A. And yes, we'll be live streaming that. Chris G and Thomas are going out there with the cameras, so we'll have a camera out there. We'll be live streaming from 39A, later on today. So that will be happening as well. It would be ironic if these things both happen at the same time. We have to go split screen, because I don't think SpaceX would want to launch them both at the same time. That would be showing off, but also their concentration needs to be on either one or the other. So I do think that we will be seeing a Starlink launch different from the T0 they'll find for Starship SN15. But yes, we'll be live streaming both. Question here about, will Starship be able to launch small objects into low Earth orbit without Super Heavy? Now, you're talking about the SSTO thing here now. Well, yes, it probably could, but I don't think that's not the design. The reason why they're launching Starship on their own is just to get these landing tests done. That's the whole purpose of it. So we're looking at a future for Starship where the future is with Super Heavy. It's designed to be a heavy lift launch vehicle, a super heavy launch vehicle. It's SLHDLV, that's what they call it, and that's what the capability brings. For everything else, they'll just use Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. Remember, they're two vehicles that are not going to retire until there's no demand for those vehicles. And with them reused up to 10 times now, they're going to have a cadence where they can keep launching those satellites into low Earth orbit with those vehicles. But Super Heavy and Starship could come along and maybe say, for example, tonight, 60 Starlinks are getting launched. Super Heavy could launch 4 times that in one go with Starship, with the Chomper system. So that is something where they will complement each other. And hopefully, all being well, we'll start seeing these test launches, these operational test launches, where they can launch Starlinks as the first payloads because they're a SpaceX payload, rather than launching the customer's payload on early flights of Starship. So as far as low Earth orbit goes, maybe Starlink launches, but with Super Heavy and then using all, the capability that comes with it. That makes more sense to me, without speaking on Elon's behalf. But yeah, I think that's the path forward for that one. I do love this question though, because I've brought this up before. B Flying says, how would they secure Hubble or future satellites for re-entry? I've always loved the idea of a Starship launch going up to return Hubble at the end of its service life. Because Hubble is such an iconic space telescope that I think if people were given the choice, do you want to just see it do a re-entry burn and just destroy itself through entry interface, or would you like to bring it back for the museum? I think the vote would be highly in favour of returning it in one piece. How it would be secured and how it would survive things like the flip and landing burn, I don't know. I don't know if it's even a concept they've thought about, but I guarantee you it'd probably be something they could do. And then if, say, the astronomy community got together, did a crowdfunder and said, look, we need to raise this amount of money to bring Hubble back, I think they'd raise it. If they can do it, I think Starship would be one vehicle that could do it. As far as servicing missions go, to extend Hubble's extension of life, I think that's quite tricky. Only shuttle could do that, because you need all that payload to take up there with the servicing and the replacing the batteries, replacing lenses, replacing gyros, things like that. You also need EVAs. So you probably need to take up a Crew Dragon at the same time with an airlock. It's quite tricky. I think we've got to the point now with James Webb coming online that Hubble is in its final years, and the only question is what they'll do after Hubble's retired. Starship brings that potential of hopefully maybe bringing it back to Earth, but we're all guessing on that one. No one's proposed it, and SpaceX have never talked about it because they've got no reason to. That's deep in the future. But I would love to see that happen personally. I think that'd be something amazing. Lots of new members. I just want to thank the new members, by the way. Depending on what level you entered, you might join our Discord. Well, if you think I talk a lot now, wait till you see me on Discord. So yeah, that's one of our member perks. There's several member perks. I don't like mentioning this too much because it sounds like we're selling it. But yeah, we appreciate everyone who's donating and joining our team, shall we say, because in our Discord we do tend to recruit from within. So if you've got a particular skill set, without going Liam Nelson on you, it's something that we could hopefully bring you involved even deeper into our team. You never know, you might end up writing articles for us or joining us on live streams or something like that. So there's lots of potential there. But yeah, very much appreciated. We've got lots of questions about the HLS situation. The HLS situation is SpaceX has been awarded the contract by NASA. That's where it stands. Starship will be landing the next astronauts on the surface of the moon. That's where it stands. Blue Origin and Dynetics both protested. So that is something where NASA, as far as the government oversight, have said you've got to stop work on this. But I think SpaceX can continue work on HLS on their own dime which they've been doing for quite a long time anyway, and keep progressing forward towards what is currently a 2024 but very iffy date to land people on the surface of the moon. As far as the protest goes, I don't think that process will go any further. We saw with the commercial crew program when they down selected from SNC, Boeing, and SpaceX, and the award to Boeing and SpaceX, SNC protested. They were involved with the Dream Chaser, the Crew Dream Chaser, to be a commercial crew vehicle. When SNC protested, they had quite a good protest. It was a very valid protest. They were happy with Boeing getting so much money for an unproven concept, and the protest was thrown out. So if you think Blue Origin and Dynetics has got a chance of reversing this decision, I think it's very, very slim. Very, very, very slim. I have no thoughts about how SpaceX could be told, hang on a minute, we've reviewed this award of the HLS contract. They've got a point. We're going to have to redo this protest. So we're going to take the money back. I can't for the life of me see that happening. So that's something where I would expect SpaceX in like a few months' time to be told, okay, we reviewed the process. The protest has been thrown out. Please continue with the program. That's what I really do think will happen. Nick Park asked, how do you know when the FTS has been armed? Well, they tend up 2 crew lifts. There are 2 boxes in view of our camera there. Not in this, obviously, this kind of like early morning view, but during the day you can see the 2 FTS boxes, and they do send up 2 crew workers to literally pull the pins. That's all that happens. They activate them by they're from their safe mode, which they were previously, to activating them for flight. So we do know they've been activated because we've seen that process happen on camera. Rick Shaw asked, why did Crew 1 splash down at night? I understand it's rare, first American crew since Apollo 8, and they practiced it to perfection. Why did they do it? It's orbital mechanics. It's just the way they want to undock at the time. It's certain things play, like launches to ISS at certain times of day or night. It's orbital mechanics. It works on a timeline where Earth's rotation is where it is when they come back to land. It worked out perfectly for them. You saw the safety they had involved with it. The infrared cameras, the WB-57 was filming them. We saw everything really you'd see during a day landing or splashdown. So that worked out perfectly well. It also adds more availability to the program. They're proving it now. They always planned for it, day or night. It was something they always knew, and they would not have done it if there was any doubts about it. So that's just something they've done. But the reason why, it's the time of undocking. They've got 6 hours free flight before the orbit burn. The orbit burn brings them down at a certain time. If it's night or day, that's what's determined by the undocking time. Martin asked, do you think the new design of SN15 will bring more issues along with all the fixes, improvements? You know what, that's not a terrible question. First of all, you've got to be in a mindset of understanding that space has got a lot of people who know what they're doing. They're very clever people. There's people like Lars Blackmore, who is one of the star SpaceXers with the Falcon 9 booster landings. He's now with Starship. So he's now involved in that program where he's designed a lot of the flip and burn landings. He knows that he's got the experience of Falcon 9 booster landings behind him, where it brings optimism to people who know his involvement on how Starship will succeed with landings. So I think that's something which brings extra confidence. As far as the question goes, do you think it bring more issues? There is a saying from the shuttle program that if you change something on the vehicle, you can cause 3 more problems. So they're very, very iffy about causing modifications. After Columbia did a lot of modifications to the vehicle, the external tank, and that was one of the key lines. If you change something, you risk changing something else that's always previously worked. So that is a good question, but you then have confidence in the engineers. They know that, they're aware of that, and they make sure that any changes, any mitigation they do does not cause a negative impact. Because we did see that with the header tanks, didn't we? The reason why SN8 landed hard and exploded was the header tank let go. And they changed the design to header tanks. And that was something Elon classed as a mistake. He even tweeted that. So that's a good example of something being changed where it caused a negative effect. But now, with the experience I've had with these previous Starship landings, SN15 has incorporated all those changes. That brings extra confidence that learning from the issues of previous landings, the SN15 has been kitted out and modified to the point where they've mitigated everything, not to the point where it detriments something else down the line. So I am more confident, and that's why my confidence 90% comes in with Starship SN15.
Yeah, and if you're just joining us, a quick update. All indications are still that SpaceX is targeting a launch of Starship SN15 today. The launch window stretches from noon to 8 p.m. Central Time, so we're about 3 hours from the opening of the window. We should see the pad start to clear out, the road to close, and the village be evacuated, of course, all ahead of that first launch attempt. So we're still waiting to see those signs happen. That's why we're live. We're live to monitor the situation and bring you live updates as they unfold. We also could get official confirmation from SpaceX if things continue to look good. So we'll see how it goes, but right now SpaceX has not officially confirmed a test flight, but based on all the hazard zones that we can see, it does appear that they are potentially going to make an attempt today.
To that, Joshua asked on his thoughts on if SM15 flies today. We still have no update on the SpaceX website. SM flews with this. So yeah, SpaceX, obviously, first of all, it's very early in the day. It's very early in the day for SpaceX employees, the certain press officer we know, for him to get up and change the website. That's what they'll have to do, to have to physically change the website. That is a good point, though. As soon as SpaceX do update their Starship page and say we will webcast at T-5 minutes, something like that, we know it's game time. We know they're going to go for it. But we do have other indicators, such as the TFR, the FAA, the evacuation notice, which Mary will be told at a time to vacate the area because she lives in Boca Chica Village, and that is something that has to be empty at time of launch. These are the things we follow, and so far everything's going to plan. There have been certain days where people have thought there's a launch, but we've known that there's not going to be a launch. So that's something where we hopefully will keep progressing along this timeline towards an attempt, maybe after midday so far. That's on the track, on the timeline.
Yep, a couple more super chats in our queue. Zetek says, here's to a great bunch of knowledgeable guys to listen to. Thanks for all your efforts and coverage. Andrew Gibson says, looking forward to another marathon stream. Any speculation on when the orbital launch table will be put in place, and how the heck will they move it from the production site? Well, I think they'll probably move it by the self-propelled modular transporter units. That would be my guess, but I think there's still some additional work that has to be done on the launch stand itself before they move it. So still expecting that to happen, but probably still a few weeks away if I had to guess. Sebastian with $15 for SN15. Do you see SpaceX making a shuttle-like Starship with a large cargo area with space for 3 to 5 crew members? I think something like that might be possible. Chris, what do you think?
Oh, Chris is actually taken off, but I can talk like I'm Chris. Wait, that's not the right way to talk like Chris.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to work. Yeah, I didn't hear the question, but yeah, I think that is back now, but I will come back on later. Yes, thank you very much.
I was not ready to try and do the Yorkshire accent there, but let's see here. Do we see SpaceX making a shuttle-like Starship with large cargo area with space? Oh, geez, it's a shuttle question. I always sort of got the impression that we thought it was sort of not the greatest of ideas to have crew in the same vehicle as bulk cargo. So when I say bulk cargo, I mean like big stuff, not like little packages that you're taking to the ISS or whatever. I don't know. Michael, do you know anything about lesson learned from shuttle where we didn't really want, like, should we have a smaller crew vehicle and then we take bulk cargo up separately and they rendezvous and do their thing? Like, why would you do that, I guess?
I mean, I could see like a servicing mission type of thing where you have a large airlock and maybe a place to store some equipment that you might be swapping out on something, maybe.
Yeah.
Like the space shuttle did the Hubble missions, although, I mean, you don't need a Hubble-sized payload bay for that, I guess, if you're just servicing it and not launching the Hubble on a space shuttle. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. There are definitely going to be many variants of Starship. We know that much, but
Yeah.
still unclear exactly how many variants.
Yeah, I could see a starship that's like a half crew, half cargo starship, and you send it up, and either the crew ride up on the starship. Maybe that's in the future. Maybe in the interim, they could launch a starship that has a crew hab on it in a cargo area, but they rendezvous a Dragon with it. You know, imagine a starship launching and it goes up to orbit uncrewed, and then a crew Dragon goes up and rendezvous with it, and docks to the front of it, and then the starship goes off and does its servicing mission, and then it comes back and brings the Dragon back, and they come back down in the Dragon. I could definitely see something like that working. You know, so an
Yeah,
interesting question, but like Michael said, I think that they're going to have lots of different types of starships. They'll have starships that have no flaps. They'll have the orbital-only starships. They'll have tanker starships. They'll have cargo starships. They'll have Starlink starships that are like a Pez dispenser, where where the Starlink satellites just sort of come out the top out of a little slot. There's an internal mechanism or something. Anyways, I imagine that they're going to come up with lots of different ideas. So let's see here. Remy Turk, I'm just going to start going through some of these questions here. Considering the relative cheapness of Starship compared to the total cost of a Mars mission, what are the chances of the first manned Mars flight being a multi-Starship mission? Gravity tether, docked formation. I don't think that you'd have any of those things. Gravity tether, docked formations, anything that would make the mission more complex for a first crewed flight to Mars. I don't think you need two starships swinging around a common berry center on a tether. I think you will just send out a starship with some crew, and it'll do its own thing first. And maybe at some point you might get to fleets of starships. Like, imagine 3 starships in orbit, and they're all headed to Mars at the same time, and so they all do their burn, and they fly out there in formation. I don't really know of a reason why we wouldn't do that, because it would be amazing to see. It's got to happen at some point. But I imagine the first missions, even though Starship is cheap, I say cheap, like I use air quotes. You can't see me, but I'm doing air quotes. Anyways, I think that that'll be an interesting thing to see what is going on. Let's see. And I got to click on some new cameras here too. Sorry. Let's see. Who do I call to get SpaceX to take your game console to space? I guess Elon, Grumpy. I'm not. There's not like a number at SpaceX that's like, call this number to send things to space. Unless you want to buy a flight on a Starship or something like that. I'm not sure on that one, but thank you for the 50 kroners. We appreciate you this morning. Here's Patrick Stewart saying, may the 4th be with NASA spaceflight and SN15 today. For those not a member, it's worth it just for the Discord server. Nice, Patrick. I see you sneaking around in the Discord server over there. We do have a Discord server that is available to Capcom and above members of the channel here. So thank you for the $5, Patrick. Thank you for being a member as well. I know we don't shout those out as often on the live streams, but every month, people that commit to giving us a little bit every month, it all adds up, and it really helps us continue our coverage. Here's Todd Heikkinen saying, today is going to be the day. Thanks for the streams. Always a lot of fun. Appreciate you, Todd. Thank you for stopping in. Luke Parsons sneaking through here saying, what time would you expect the launch? In Australia, I need to sleep, but don't want to miss it. Thanks for your coverage. Luke, here's my read. It's 9 a.m. right now, right? Central Daylight Time. It's 9 a.m., 9:07, and they have not evacuated the village. I would not expect them to fly an hour or any earlier than an hour after they evacuated the village. So can I tell you right now exactly what time they're going to fly? I can't, but as soon as we see the village evacuation, then I would think it would be at least an hour after that, maybe longer, because it's an experimental program. You got to close out the pads and stuff like that as well. But everything else, we're not like waiting on FAA paperwork or anything like that. It's down to brass tacks here in terms of getting Starship cleared for launch, or getting Starship ready to launch. And it's literally just clearing out the pad and clearing out the people. And SpaceX putting up a link saying that they're going to do it. Jacob Taylor, this is almost an hour ago. Good grief. Jacob Taylor with $100 saying, awesome broadcast always. Keep up the great work. What changes were made to the Raptors? Go SN15. Jacob, appreciate the support there. $100 is definitely nothing to sneeze at. Unfortunately, there's no official list of here are the Raptors improvements. Like, Elon hasn't tweeted, here's a spreadsheet that shows all the things that we've changed or anything along those lines, right?
Yeah,
So
visually they did clean up the plumbing, so
Yeah.
There are some simpler connections and whatnot. They moved around some components, but I'm sure there's hundreds of changes on the Raptors themselves, and we do not have a list to give you, but they are designed to be more reliable than the previous version, obviously, and they have not had to swap any Raptors for the first time. Since they've been launching 3-engine Starship vehicles, every single vehicle has had to have a Raptor swapped, at least one Raptor swapped after the static fire tests, and SN15 was the first vehicle with these new Raptors, and it did not have to do any swaps. So that was a good start.
Yeah, that's definitely a good sign. A lot of the times you'll see that they do the static fires, then something goes wrong, and then we see this midnight Raptor swap where somebody like sneaks one Raptor in and out, yada yada yada. But we have not seen that. Also, a thing on the wiring, the engines are definitely complicated things. Sometimes you'll see some of the wiring cleanup as the engine matures because they remove some sensors from it. So dev engines will have all these complicated wires running everywhere because they're heavily censoring the thing to get all the data they need back to figure out what's going on with the engine. And as the engine starts to mature, you'll see some of those sensors removed. And we've seen a lot less wiring on these Raptors, so potentially that's what's going on with the Raptors. So let me get one or two more really quickly, and then we've got a new debut here on our live stream. Jenny Leitinen, thank you so much, says, thanks for live coverage. Go SN15. We appreciate you there, Jenny. Let's see here. Chris Mix says, you've seen SN15. It's so big in person. Yesterday, y'all should have been seen from the beach side. It's phenomenal. Oh, Chris, it is a cool sight out there. Just about any single day that you're there, it is amazing looking. You can get some fantastic views from the beach over there. Glad you're able to see it in person, and thank you for joining the stream. And then here's one last one. Paul Dumitru saying, SN15, live long and prosperous. I like it. I want SN15 to fly. I want it to stick the landing, and I'd like it to be around afterwards. What is it? SN15 could last forever if it never flew. But what's the saying about ships? Ships are safe in port, but that's not where they're meant to be, or something along those lines. In any event, hope we get a flight today. So y'all, what I want to do now, it's not very often that we get a new voice on the NASA Spaceflight streams here. Of course, we have the NASA Spaceflight Live where we'll have special guests, but it is my pleasure today to introduce a new member of the NASA Spaceflight team live on the commentary. Derek, do we have you on comms?
I am here.
How are you doing?
I am doing absolutely great. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're hanging in there and talking fast and looking at stainless steel. So,
Indeed.
You may recognize Derek's name from some of the daily videos. He has started with us as a video editor, and you will see some of the daily edits have his name on it. But DK, it says DK, like I go by DOS, you go by DK because you're also a streamer too, right? Can I say that?
Yeah. Streaming 4 times a week.
4 times a week over on Twitch, just like me, right?
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we came. That's sort of like where I know Derek.
We've known each other for quite a long time now at this point.
As long as I've been streaming. You used to do you still have your voice on my channel over on Twitch where it says, welcome to the Academy.
Welcome to the Academy.
Yeah, I think people can tell. People are like, where did this guy get his voice from? You do like professional voice work too, right?
Yeah. I mean, I do all kinds of stuff. Anything that will pay the bills, really. Do voiceover work, and that's how we ended up having my voiceover on your channel.
Yeah, long ago. That's like, I think the timestamp on that was like.
I don't want to talk about how long ago it was, but yeah, quite some time.
It was a good time ago. Anyways, folks, DK, how do you want me to refer to you? Derek? DK?
Either way, I answer to both on the internet more often than not. It's DK,
okay.
But Derek will be just fine.
All right, good deal. Well, I will probably slip up and call you DK, so I'll go with that.
Totally
People still call me DOS.
I answer to that, absolutely. I'll probably call you DOS for what it's worth.
That's fine. I think people will know who you're talking about. So, folks, right there in chat, the mods are putting in links to DK's Twitter. It's declarations, right? Declarations.
I thought when I first made that username, I thought I was going to be declaring a lot more things.
Yeah. Well, here you have the opportunity to declare everything you think about Starship. How's that?
Excellent. I'm for it.
So here's the thing. DK has 4,000 Twitter followers, let's see what the chat can do to welcome him to the stream.
Yeah,
Oh,
I tell you, I'm
geez.
gonna turn off the notifications on my phone because this is not great.
Did we just link your Twitter to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
42,000 people and your phone started to melt?
Oh, okay. Yep. All right. Hi, everybody.
I feel like I can hear it buzzing in the background. I don't know if that's just
It's possible.
Yeah.
am actually trying to turn it off, but it keeps on going before I can even.
It's what happens. So, y'all, see if you can literally melt DK's phone. Mods, put the link to his Twitter there in chat. You'll see him on the daily videos. The fantastic job editing he's done, doing justice to Mary's footage that she's creating out there. Massive thanks for that, by the way, DK. You've been doing a bang-up job
Well,
with
thank
the
you very much.
daily edit. So, do you ever think you'd be editing footage of a rocket test program?
You know, I would never really ruled it out.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in the plan.
There's a lot of links to the Twitter there. So make sure you toss him a follow. And then mods, when we create the command for DK, make sure you get his Twitch in there as well. Twitch.com/declarations, like the DK-larations.
Like the word declarations, only with a DK instead of a DEC.
Instead of a DEC. There you go. So DK, I think you are going to be helping us keep up with some of the super chats and
Yeah,
questions.
I'm here to read some questions.
Do you have the interface up?
I do indeed.
All right. Do you want to start jumping in and
Sure. I know that you were just reading some of the super chats because I was watching before I jumped in here. I think that we should start with that because we've got a couple, 2, 3 of them.
All right, a couple, 2, 3 of them. A
Yeah,
scroll
2,
bar
3.
that's 1 pixel.
All right, from David Rose. For the robot army, are they off the shelf with minor modifications or are they heavily modified?
Oh, geez. Well, I guess that one's for me. It's sort of a mix between the two. The cameras themselves are sort of COTS, just commercial off the shelf. We don't want to try and roll all those from scratch because, as it turns out, there's already robotic remote controlled IP video, weatherproof enclosed cameras, yada, 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 that you can just buy. But the control boxes and the uplinks and the way that we do the internet failover and power and all that sort of stuff, those are the things that are sort of the special sauce. There's a lot of custom dev in the configuration and building those control boxes so the camera can actually talk back and be controlled remotely. So good question. One of these days we're going to do a video or some sort of live explainer or something like that. But that's
that'd be great.
question. Yeah. Thank you.
From Jeremy Arbogast, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, for $9.99, if SN15, 16, or 17 lands, what will SpaceX do with the prototypes?
Well, Elon will probably tweet that they'll put it in a museum, and then they'll get scrapped. Michael?
Well, I don't know if the question's asking what happens to the prototypes if they land, or how does the test program evolve if one of them lands. I think you're probably getting at what happens to them if they land, and we don't know yet. I don't think we're going to see them fly again because each prototype is evolving so quickly that basically once a Starship gets to the pad, it's pretty much out of date. The next Starship in the build is already much better. So I'm not sure if we're going to see any rapid reuse yet, but eventually they will definitely try reusing them. Obviously, that's kind of the long-term goal of this program. But I think for now, I have not heard of any plans to reuse a Starship if it were to land.
Sure. From Wesley Schultz here, Michael, I got a question for you. If Super Heavy Booster is only intended to be used on Earth, what is the benefit in using Raptor/CH4 engines?
Well, if you want to keep the rocket design simple, you try to stick to one type of engine and one combination of propellant for the entire vehicle. So it's not because that CH4 is the optimal fuel for Earth necessarily. It's because that the Starship is optimized to use methane because methane can be produced on Mars. So because of that, with the second stage going to be using methane, to simplify it and not have to design a totally different engine for the first stage, Super Heavy, SpaceX is going to use the same engines and the same propellant for the entire launch system.
All right. From Beer Time Continuum, now an hour ago, so sorry that we're just getting to these guys. He says, the only way my kids will watch NSF with me if I tell them Starship may explode. Here's hoping that doesn't happen for your time continuum, but thank you very much for the support. From Graham Edwards with £5. A YouTube video claims a Starship costs 200 million. Even with billion-dollar contracts, this must cost a fortune. Is it affordable even for Elon?
Well, I can tell you straight away that that 200 million figure is not even close to accurate. I don't know the exact numbers, but I do know that 200 million is probably...
So is that too low, too high?
Yes.
Or do you even have it?
I'm going to guess it's probably at least off by hundreds of millions. I mean, it's probably a couple of million per prototype, so it's way high, in other words. We don't know the exact cost, but they're working on getting Raptors down to under $1 million, and they have really found a way to optimize the cost of the rest of the vehicle with the stainless steel. So
if I understood that right, you said that they're working on getting just one of the engines to 100 million?
To under $1 million. So
to under 1 million. Excuse me. Okay.
Yeah. So there's 3 Raptor engines on these prototypes, and typically in the launch industry, you know, the SLS engines are upwards of 100 million each on the RS-25 engines for the core stage. So SpaceX is really, really working hard to cut costs and make these engines as affordable as possible. Of course, engines are the most costly part of the vehicle typically, which is why I mentioned that. But I think if I had to guess, the cost of a Starship is probably less than 20 million. So you're at least off by a factor of 10.
Goodness. Well, we've got a $5 super chat from Musical Wolves saying, what was all the hype about Starship and tornadoes yesterday? Now, I don't know anything about this. So I don't know if you do.
I have not heard of anything about Starship and tornadoes, so I don't know what that's referencing.
All right, great. From Kenneth Hoagland. I'm going to hope that's correct. $50 super chat. Use this super chat to buy the first round on me at the bar. LOL.
That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah,
Can we go to the bar on top of the high bay?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that's what he was saying. That's from about an hour ago. So let's we'll do that right after the launch here.
I'll take it. I'll ride that service elevator up there.
Yeah, there you go. It looks like a good time. So from Rman24, ISK 750. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what an ISK is.
I came here to kroners, I think.
Is it an Icelandic kroner? All right, there you go.
I don't know if it's a kroner. We always have to Google them really quickly. But
yeah, I mean, I know plenty of them, but I do not know what that one is.
Icelandic krona, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah,
krona, yeah. There you go. Armand24 says, I came here to see construction workers yeet a grain silo into space. Also, win RGB Starship.
RGB? Like with LEDs on the side that change
yeah.
colors?
So, I mean, you know, this is a prototype. We're working on really decking it out for when we actually launch.
It's like that plane in that one Spider-Man where it goes cloaked mode because it's got LED arrays on it and displays the sky behind it.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I'm talking about? Anyways.
It's just easier to track. An update from a previous question we had from Toggy here at NASA Spaceflight. Starship is rumored to cost around $2 million per Starship.
That isn't too low, I can tell you that, because they're still working on getting the Raptors down to under $1 million. Their goal is to get Raptors down to under $1 million. So you multiply that by 3, because 3 Raptors, and you get above $2 million. But I will say that the 20 million figure that I estimated, that in itself is likely too high. I think it's probably around 5 or 6 million. I think Elon did say that at one point, but it's hard to also give a firm number on cost. It also depends on what you're including in the cost. Are you including all the labor of all the employees that are designing it? Are you counting just raw materials? Are you counting associated infrastructure at the launch site? So I think it's probably pretty hard to single out a cost of each prototype. It's much easier to single out a cost of, you know, a single day of operating Starbase or Boca Chica. But I don't know how easy it is to pinpoint a number for a specific prototype, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that was always a thing with the shuttle program, right? Where the shuttle program, they were giving you the cost of the shuttle program, and that includes building the VAB and operating Stennis and like all of these different things, all the salaries and facilities and everything to support it. It was never, oh well, here's what the raw materials and labor to put them together cost to build a space shuttle. So when you get a lot of times you get these, oh wow, these rockets are so expensive. It really depends on how you do the accounting, and you can make your rocket seem really cheap by saying, oh, yeah, the raw materials cost this, then it takes this much in labor to put it together, and we're done. And you don't count all the other materials that are required to actually make that happen. So, an interesting question. I don't know if we'll ever know exactly how much it is. We'll know what they sell it for, but we might not know exactly what it costs. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't anticipate them making that publicly available.
Yep.
From David Rose, I'm guessing from Canada. That's a joke. $10. What are the odds on a Doge being painted on a starship at some point? I'd take that bet.
I would not be surprised.
I would also not be surprised. I mean, if you're sending it to the moon, you have to, obviously send it on a rocket. Only makes sense.
Quite literally.
I mean, there's a 100% chance, not even a question, that Elon is going to send a Dogecoin to the moon, I think, at some point. Just a matter of time.
An actual physical Dogecoin on the moon. I mean, if you buy one, he'll probably let you paint whatever you want on the side of it. So we'll see what they cost.
From Colton Collingwood, we've got a $5 super chat. You guys ready for SN15 to be the next Orbcomm 2? What is Orbcomm 2?
Huh?
I don't actually know what that is.
Well.
Oh, they mean the first booster that SpaceX landed for Falcon 9 was launched in Orbcomm 2 mission. So I think they're kind of referring to the SN15 being the first successful landing.
Yeah. DK, that's why we have Michael around, because he is an encyclopedic font of knowledge for facts like that.
You guys are all encyclopedia. I'm just here to read some questions. You guys, I mean, don't get me wrong. I have several thousand hours in Kerbal Space Program, but that is insufficient.
That actually gets you a full certificate in Starship operations, DK.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you're good. That's all you need, actually.
All right, let's see. We've got a regular chat here from B Flying at NASA Spaceflight. You're telling me that the Starship second stage is cheaper or costs as much as Electron?
Yes. Well, I'm not saying it's exactly that. Again, I'm not going to give a specific number, but I think you're actually probably right. It's about in that range. And the reason is that Starship is a very early stage prototype. It is not an operational vehicle. So when you build things to the specification to be reliable enough to launch customer missions and that have all of the associated processing to support customers, costs will rise. That being said, Electron is not necessarily a super affordable or cheap vehicle. I mean, it's affordable in the sense that it's the cheapest launch on the market if you want to fly a dedicated rocket, because it's a small rocket, but the actual cost per kilogram, so the cost you pay to send 1 kilogram into orbit, is pretty high on Electron relative to something like a Falcon 9. And Electron is also made out of carbon fiber versus stainless steel, so it has more expensive components. So SpaceX is really going for a affordable design versus an efficient or, super mass efficient design. I mean, stainless steel is actually pretty mass efficient, but carbon fiber, which they were originally considering, if you at least take out the heat shield, carbon fiber might be more mass efficient. But and I know chat's going to now tell me that carbon fiber is less efficient, and that is true. For Starship's case, we want to reuse it. It is less efficient because you need more heat shield, but for a first stage that just goes to orbit, perhaps it might be more efficient. But anyways, Electron is not a super cheap design, I would say, and it is a production version versus a prototype.
Yeah, and it actually can send payloads to orbit right now. Starship cannot even deploy a payload. It is just a test vehicle that has not made orbit. So it's a long way between I love you and I do. We'll see what Starship actually costs in the end, right?
Yeah, the cost to build a Starship is obviously going to go up over time as they add features like a fairing that can deploy spacecraft and whatnot, and perhaps build this thing in something more than a tent out in the open. But it will be interesting to see how that plays out. But of course, they're going to reuse the entire Starship, ideally. So the actual launch cost is going to be less than Electron, I think.
And talking about the heat shield, right quick, Parth Prajapati has a question. Why did they remove some of the bottom heat shield on the SN15?
So we saw some of the, you can obviously see on your screen, there's that big rectangle of black heat shield tiles. There were also some heat shield tiles lower down on the aft skirt. And during the static fire test, some of those heat shields shattered or broke off. So I think they might have removed some of those, might be what the question is asking. But the main heat shield section is clearly still on the vehicle higher up. And it will be interesting to see how the heat shield performs when it launches. You know, how many of those tiles will stay on the vehicle. Starship SN15, which is 2 Starship prototypes down the line, is expected to be the first Starship with the full heat shield. So that will have heat shield tiles from head to toe, basically. And that'll be even more interesting to see how well those heat shield tiles stay adhere to the vehicle. Because obviously, the space shuttle is kind of infamous for having heat shield tiles fall off.
Yeah, let me see really quickly if I can enhance. I don't think that you... Oh my gosh, the flaps are moving! Look!
Ooh. That's exciting.
That was fortuitous suddenly. Look at that!
Yeah, just...
Wow. I was going to try and look at the heat shield tiles that cracked on the bottom left-hand side.
Sure.
But look at the flap test there. I think that's the first we've seen it on the close-in camera, on Danger Cam. We call this one Danger Cam. I feel like I should be quiet and just watch now.
I just stopped talking, just watched it move. It's like...
I screamed my surprise and then I shut up. How's that? That was...
Well,
Go ahead.
no, it was just the signs of life. It's very exciting. It certainly feels good for the potential launch today.
Yeah. No kidding. Okay, so I was bringing this up really quickly to see if we couldn't see the tiles that actually cracked off, and maybe they removed some of those tiles that had cracked or fallen off around the area. They were down on the bottom there, but it looks like the little tower thing is in the way. Can't quite see it from there. So we'll continue to watch for the flaps test. Let's see if maybe looking at... Yeah, that haze is still there, huh? Y'all sing out if you see the flaps move again. Still have a little bit of haze, but we are actively working on that other camera right now, so we will be on and off of it. Geez, sorry, all of a sudden I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that?
I hope this haze goes away. I think it probably will as the sun moves out. Part of the problem is haze, and part of the problem is that the sun right now is pointed in the camera from that angle. But from the beach, from this angle, the lighting is much better, and I hope that this hazy air clears out as the day unfolds as we see that flat move again.
Yep.
That was a pretty quick actuation right there.
It's amazing. Those flaps on the bottom, my house is 3 stories tall, and those flaps are taller than my house. They're huge. And look
That
how
is
fast
wild.
they move.
It's really hard to get a sense of scale with just nothing else really being there. There's some buildings way in the background, but
Yeah.
that's about it. How close is... So that's the nose cone testing rig there. How close is that actually to SN15 right now?
It's all sort of camera tricks. So from this angle with
Okay.
the telephoto compression, it looks like they're right next to each other.
It
But if
looks
we
like it's going to bump it when it's
Yeah.
coming up.
But if we swap over this way, you can see there is some clearance both side to side, and it's a little deeper here. So,
Yeah,
or
there
it's a
we go,
little
yeah.
closer from this angle. I guess the nose cone jail is a little closer than Starship. So some of the aerial shots that Mary and Jack got before give a really good sort of layout for the grounds. And when we look at it with these long lenses, everything looks sort of compressed together because the cameras are a lie. And when you look at it from the air, you can see there is some safety space in between.
Gotcha. Let's get to some more questions, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to try to get through as many of these super chats as we have. There's so many more coming in.
You can't win, DK. You
you
will
can't-
never
like,
win.
There's some that are an hour old. It's just it's a little rough.
Yeah.
All right. So from Rasmus Lindahl, SEK, which I think is a Swedish krona. Is that
I
correct?
think so. Yeah, there's a lot of kroners going around today.
Well, lots of kronas. Answer honestly. Do you guys think you personally one day will be able to travel to space?
Oh, jeez. What do you think,
What
DK?
an interesting question. You know, I mean, I'd certainly like to think so. I think that it might be available to people. I don't know that I'll be able to afford it.
That's probably a realistic way to think about it.
Yeah, I think that unless something drastic happens, it's probably not going to. I mean, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Maybe somebody will sponsor you as a Mars colonist and buy you a ticket on a Starship if you wanted to go to Mars. Would you, if it was paid for, would you get on a Starship going to Mars?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you would?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like there's very little reason for me to not. Like, I don't really have ties that a lot of other people might.
Okay,
But,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you had a family, if you had kids, then I can imagine that would obviously be very rough.
Yeah, that's
for
what
me
I
right
say
now,
a
I
lot of
don't.
the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So lacking those sorts of ties you could hop on. I normally answer no, I've got a daughter, I've got family and wife
Yeah,
and stuff
exactly.
like that.
Mhm,
That would be a bit much if it was just, solo das rolling
yeah,
out
right,
there.
and you'd be like,
yeah,
"All right,
lone wolf mode.
Toodles.
But, yeah, toodles.
And sorry, real quick, those
no, go
forward
ahead.
flaps are now fully extended too.
Yeah.
Ooh. More signs of life in Boca Chica.
The haze makes it a little bit difficult to see from this angle because you can see the glint sort of changing, but if I go this way, the haze is a little tough there today. Hopefully that clears up some. I don't know, chat. What camera should I leave it on here? Like, y'all want me to leave it on this angle from the village, or do you want me to leave it on the beach angle? Village or beach? Put that into chat for us.
All right, so getting a couple more super chats in while we're waiting for that here. Goodness. All right, so I'm not super great with French. Fred Chavier, maybe? On Grimes' picture in front of BN1, we could guess a structure in the north corner that looks like one elevator shaft under construction. I don't know what that photo is, but that's interesting to think of.
Yeah. Maybe that's the at the high bay, I guess, where we were talking about the
Oh,
elevator to
sure,
get up
sure.
to the bar on the high bay. I bet you that's
Yeah.
what that is. Yeah. That's one of the tricks. Sometimes that we can't get through the super chat queue fast enough, and so we miss the context sometimes. But I bet you that was the high bay.
Very likely. It was about an hour ago, so that's when we were talking about that on stream here.
Yep, makes sense.
From Buzz Hoteco 98. Thank you for answering my question. What safety is there for crew on the Starship if anything goes wrong?
Well, right now,
not
crews are
crew.
Yeah, there's not crew.
I wonder if they made like crew around the area.
I don't know. That's hilarious. We were both going for the same joke there. Right now,
Yeah,
crew
yeah,
aren't
it's
allowed
just
aboard
like,
Starship. That's how you keep the crew safe. They've talked about the safety mechanisms for Starship being it's going to be so tested and so reliable it won't need an abort system, right? And personally, I don't really buy that. You look at other rockets like the Crew Dragon or the old Apollo capsules, and they had that launch escape system. The Apollo capsules had the launch escape system on top. The
Yeah.
Dragon has these thrusters on the bottom of it that'll push the astronauts away to safety. They actually tested that in flight. They blew up a booster having the capsule fly off the top of it, like intentionally blew it up to make sure it would work. But Starship doesn't have anything like that right now. There's no abort system or escape tower. And sort of running the math, it's not able to use the Raptor engines. Even when there's 6 Raptor engines, it can't use the Raptor engines as an escape system. They just don't start up fast enough to pull you away in case the rocket underneath you is exploding, right? So it remains to be seen exactly what's going to happen with Starship. Ejection seats, I mean, no, especially for point-to-point. You can't have 500 people with ejection seats, 100 people with ejection seats. That's one of the big questions about the safety of Starship. Like, there is no traditional abort system. And it goes back to Shuttle. There were black zones in Shuttle as well. When Shuttle was going through its trajectory, there were some crew recovery abort scenarios where it was just like, here it is on paper, but in order for this scenario to work, it basically has to be a miracle because we've come up with what we would try, but there's no guarantee that this could ever actually work. And quite frankly, it's crazy. So I'm not sure what's going to end up with Starship there. I believe we are going to see human beings aboard a Starship via Crew Dragon first. The first time we have humans in space aboard a Starship, it's going to launch empty and it's going to have a Crew Dragon rendezvous with it, and they're going to go for a ride around the moon or something like that. If I had to make a call, that's what I would expect first. You know,
And that's kind of
Sure.
the scenario that a lot of people are using right now to, question why you need SLS if you're going to have Starship be the human landing system provider for NASA, because people are wondering, why don't you just launch a Crew Dragon to low Earth orbit and have it dock to a Starship in low Earth orbit and then go to the moon? Because right now the plan is for the Starship HLS vehicle to be fully fueled in low Earth orbit by tankers before it goes to the moon. So it's not like the type of thing where the Starship has to be in lunar orbit for a while before the crew get there. No, SpaceX's plan is to get the Starship all ready to go in low Earth orbit. So presumably after it's ready to go, why don't you just launch a Crew Dragon and dock the Starship in low Earth orbit?
All right, let's do a couple more. Actually, I've got one here. This is for Das, so I'll let you show off a bit. Ollie Oldry a little bit ago asked, "How do you have all these cameras set up? Are they permanent?"
so they're not permanent. They stay there full time, but they're not permanent, like fixed on the side of the building. They're designed so that we can toss them into a Pelican case and ship them around and deploy them pretty rapidly. But they are sort of tripod mount cameras, and we can put them wherever we need to. I need some power, and some of them are solar arrays, like Danger Cam and Beach Cam are completely solar powered. They operate 24/7 based on solar panels and a big battery. And then we have some others that are on shore power as well, where they're just plugged into the wall basically. But they are, I wouldn't really call them permanent. Like I could go out there and I could move them around if we needed to. It's not that big of a deal. They're not like a massive require 8 yards of concrete poured into the ground to build a tower or anything like that. Nah, it's a camera tripod and like a brick on a ratchet strap. So good question.
I like that one. Just pulling in some more of these super chats. Space Race Watcher Toxic, watching from Canada. What is the launch window? Eastern Seaboard?
So they want the launch window in Eastern time, I think, which is an hour after Central time. So in Central time, the launch window is from noon to 8 p.m., which is Central time is obviously the local time zone of Boca Chica, but to convert that to Eastern time, you just add 1. So in Eastern time, the launch window is from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m.
1 p.m. to 9 p.m. Wow.
No, thank you, Michael. Casual Tie 5 with 10 euros. Apparently, the Dynetics HLS design had a major focus on making the vehicle comfortable for humans. Do you think SpaceX will need to have a similar focus on Starship to make Mars journeys bearable?
Oh, geez.
Yes. I mean, you'd certainly want
Yes.
it to be comfortable. It's not a drive to grandma's. It's a long, long journey.
Yeah, you're right. And I think one of the big things about Starship is it has so much usable volume in the cargo area, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there's so much room for activities in there, and they can certainly keep the crew count down so that each crew member has lots of space to spread out. I mean, are they going to have private bunks or anything like that? It's possible with Starship, because remember, the cargo area is like a 5-story building, right? And certainly they'll have to have the command bridge and the life support processors and supplies and all these sorts of things that you need to carry with you, right? But there's a lot of room up in the nose of that Starship, especially when you get into different Starship variants. The cargo Starship, the tanker Starship, the crew Starship. Like, you don't have to use 80% of your cargo area for your Mars equipment and then 20% for the crew. You could send a Starship with all the equipment and then send a Starship with the crew, and you could have, like I said, so much room in the thing. So
this is a good one.
Cool.
Oh,
yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Oh, from Mohammed Mustafa. Can't they run simulations with supercomputers instead of test flights and mini prototypes? I mean, can't we just put it in Kerbal Space Program, use that as our proof of concept? And
I mean, you can. SpaceX certainly does use simulations to test all of these vehicles before they fly. But the reality is there is no supercomputer that can perfectly simulate physics. So if you want to know for sure if your design works, the best way is to fly it.
There's also no
Exactly.
supercomputer that can accurately indicate whether or not they tightened down the bolt on the Raptor correctly.
That is
Yeah,
also
right.
true.
Like there's many potential points of failure that you just don't know about that you have to.
Yeah.
You can't just program in.
Yep, and that's the integration testing. That's literally what Starship is doing physically here. They're doing integration testing. You can do all the simulations you want, and it's like, yes, this Raptor, if it works correctly, produces enough thrust to make it fly like this. And you can simulate the belly flop, and you're like, okay, air resistance at sea level for this temperature, for this humidity, this density over the course of the flight from altitude down to the ground. It's this much drag, so it'll slow down this much. You can simulate that
Absolutely.
until the cows come home, but you need to make the rubber meet the road at some point and send the Starship up to that altitude and see if you can actually make it work that way. Everything works in theory.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and also like it looks the way it looks because of the simulations that they've had, right? That's the design that they ended up going with.
You got it. I should say lots of things work in theory. Not everything works in theory.
Yeah, fair. I'm going to just blaze through a couple of them here and get some more questions. Gary Hayton, happy Star Wars Day. Great stream, guys. May the 4th be with you, Gary. Thank you very much for the support. Appreciate it. Grant Huckstadt with $2 Australian. Thank you very much for the support. Ave Nettergaard with $4.99. Thank you very much for the support as well. And then we've got one from 3LB Trigger, 3-pound Trigger. Awesome channel. I stream every launch in our shop, and I now have everyone hooked on watching it. I hope we can get a Starship launch on Star Wars Day. I agree. We've got from Papa Smoke. What do you guys think the triangle UFO is? Aliens or humans? Is it interstellar capable or nothing of that nature? I have no idea what he's talking about.
Huh?
Do you know what that is? The triangle UFO? I don't know.
Triangle UFO? I don't know. I mean, certainly there's this military footage that's recently disclassified as the unknown object and stuff like that, but that's because it's an unknown object. It could be lots of things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's obviously a weather balloon.
Yeah, it's swamp gas reflecting off Venus.
Indeed, yeah.
Flashy thing here for chat.
Eject Y0. Thank you for all you do. Thank you very much for the support, Eject. Appreciate it. From Jack Ryan. What are the chances that the competing companies for the lunar lander steal it from SpaceX due to protests? That's interesting.
Well, I mean, I don't think they would protest if they thought they had a 0% chance, but I think it's definitely a long shot protest, and I think in the best case scenario, another contender would be added, not SpaceX losing their bid.
I think that's probably the best answer, yeah.
Yeah.
From Intrepid Gaming, hey guys, love the content and so grateful for the coverage. Excited to see a potential launch of SN15 today. Thank you very much, Intrepid Gaming. From A Clifford 91, I also think, and also with you every time, loving the content as always. Talking about May the 4th be with you. Here's one. How fast do we think SN15 will do the Kessel run? Less than
14
10
parsecs.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. At least.
Geez, the over under there. You said less than 10. I said over 14. I just know it wasn't supposed to be 12.
Yes, yeah. We've got from Full Battery. We got a question. Are these prototypes a decent representation of what the tank ship may look like?
A tanker ship? I would say yes. If we're talking about like tank ship in terms of a tanker starship, tanker starship's going to need the pointy end, the aerodynamics. It's going to need the flaps for reusability, so it'd be coming back down to belly flop and land again. But you don't really need to change it from an exterior perspective. You don't need a cargo door or anything like that because of that tail-to-tail docking, where Elon had said that those starships are going to match up tail to tail and use the same connections or similar connections to the GSE that it pumps the fuel in from the ground equipment here, right? I think the biggest visual difference that you'll see if this design holds is one entire side will be covered with the TPS, the thermal protection system, those black tiles there about midships, and that is going to be a crazy looking starship. But beyond that, I could see a tanker starship looking just like this, just one side with the tiles. Good question.
Yeah, and there might be There might be a tanker Starship like this, and then a depot Starship with the depot Starship having tanks that extend into the payload section. So that what they could do is they could launch the normal, tanker Starships, and then those could refuel a depot Starship in low Earth orbit with a large propellant capacity.
Do you think for a depot Starship they would launch more of an HLS variant with no flaps, like something that's supposed to stay in orbit and not come back down again, or do you think they'd move tankers up and down as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I could see without flaps and a heat shield.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. They might not need the heat shield if it's just going to stay on orbit. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh.
Question from chat. What is that black panel? I think they're talking about the little black area. It looks like some gaff tape on the side of on SN15 there.
You know, in baseball, anybody seen baseball games where they put the black under their eyes to stop the reflection from the sun? It's not that. That's the thermal
Is
protection.
that actually it? No.
Wait, what? No. That's definitely, I made that up, DK. That's the thermal protection system. Those are the tiles. I actually think that I can help you out with that briefly. But keep on going, and I'll switch cameras here in a second, DK.
Oh, sure thing. From Danny Bear, we got Canadian dollar. Thank you very much for the support. Michael Jones with a couple of pounds. I'll be back later to watch this happen in VR.
Cool.
Right? Little Bread 402. May the hop be with you, SN15. And now I'm a play KSP. Right on.
And also with you.
And also with you. From Kevin Aldred. Do the Starship launches affect Dogecoin prices and share prices since they're Elon Musk's successes and failures?
Oh, wow. I don't...
Probably not no, but...
Yeah, Elon's tweets definitely affect Dogecoin prices. And there, you can see the tiles now. I switched to this camera. Just briefly, we're still working this camera, but you can see that black patch is actually hexagonal.
Yeah, look at that.
tiles.
That's great.
Isn't
So
that cool?
it's just in that location? Is that just like, was it previously a point of failure or?
So they're just testing the attach system, and they're not.
Okay.
They haven't even ramped up the tile production yet.
Sure, I understand. So this is just let's see if these stick to the side of the thing?
You're exactly right. This is let's
All right.
fly with this. Do they fall off when the Raptors start to vibrate? When they do the belly flop, do they fall off? Like, this is literally testing whether or not they can get them to stick to the side of Starship through all these testing regimes.
Yeah, absolutely. From A Clifford 91, I also think. I already read that one. Just kidding.
Oh, good.
Jonathan Lang, why not get Starlink internet for streaming? Haha. Probably.
Yep,
yeah.
I'll tell you, as soon as we can, that's definitely something that we'll be testing out. Starlink's going to make it a little difficult to stream from, but I guarantee you that if I can build a robot that's Starlink powered, it will happen.
The main question is getting your hands on one. I don't know how long that's going to take, but it could be several months until we can get our hands on one. I'm not really sure, but fingers crossed that one of these days SpaceX will be able to send us one.
Audible snicker. Continuing right along.
From AG, and I don't know what this one's about. Maybe you guys have to help me out. Will the Dear Moon mission launch from Boca Chica? I don't know what the Dear Moon mission is.
Dear Moon. Go, Michael.
That's a plan by a Japanese billionaire. Whose name I can never pronounce. I think it's Maezawa or something is his last name.
You suck is his Twitter.
You suck is his Twitter for some reason.
You suck 2020 or something.
But the plan is to launch himself and a bunch of winners of a internet competition on a flight on Starship around the moon.
Yes. So I guess I didn't realize the name of the project itself. It's Yusaku Maezawa.
There you go.
Correct. Yep, that's the one. And I mean, the competition's already underway, so you cannot enter it now, unfortunately, if you are interested. But he is going to be selecting a couple of people to go on the flight with him. It is scheduled ambitiously for 2023. I think that timeline will probably slip, but that'll be interesting to see. And humans have not flown around the moon since the last Apollo mission, so it's been quite a while.
Yep.
From
And it will.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it will be quite a while before Starship flies humans around the moon as well. I mean, remember Elon said thousands, which may have been a lot, but at least 100 Starship flights. I don't know what he's going to go with, like cargo flights uncrewed before they fly humans on a Starship like that. So if Dear Moon happens in the nearer term, I would probably imagine that it's going to be a Crew Dragon that's taking them up maybe multiple rendezvous to load them up and then go on the rest of the way to Moon. I feel that that's a faster way that Dear Moon could happen instead of waiting for Starship to be launch and landing crew rated, you know?
So the problem with that, though, is that right now the price of a Crew Dragon is $200 million per launch. And the amount of astronauts on your Moon, I forget what it is. I don't think they've actually settled on a final number yet, but it's something around 8. So that would be at least 2 Crew Dragon launches, plus the Starship launch with the actual crewed Starship, plus the tanker flights necessary. So that could be an expensive mission if they involve Crew Dragon. So I don't know if that's going to happen because of cost.
It'll be interesting to see what SpaceX has committed to there. Like, did they say in the contract, you know, if it doesn't fly by such and such date, then this happens, or anything along those lines, you know? I don't know the details of that contract, so.
Anyways, I have to go for a bit, but I will be back.
No worries, Michael. We'll see when you come back.
Good deal. Well, I guess it's me and you, DK, huh?
It's me and you, just like the old days. All right. From Jeremiah Narn, he's got a good question here. Are any of the prototypes going to go to orbit?
The prototypes. So, yes, they are trying to get a Starship in orbit. That is true. Not any, like this one is not designed to go to orbit. This is just one of the, they call it a high altitude test flight, but it's really sort of a low altitude test flight. It is not going anywhere near space, but they do plan to take a Starship to orbit. In fact, Elon has said he was shooting for July of this year. Now,
for orbit?
Yes, for orbit.
Which, okay.
Yeah. So is it possible or not? There's a lot of infrastructure that still needs to be built. They're going like gangbusters on the infrastructure. I've sort of made the comment that potentially, let me see if I can't bring that up on our wider camera here. There you go. That tower on the right-hand side, that is actually supposed to be the support tower for the whole stack. And that's nowhere near...
The integration tower.
Yeah, the integration tower, exactly.
Yeah.
The orbital launch platform is sort of behind it from this perspective. You can just see some of the big concrete pillars, but it's not ready yet. Could it be ready for July? Probably in some capacity, but you're not launching an orbital booster until that platform is ready to go, and it's just not ready yet. So we'll see. Very aspirational there, Elon.
Yeah, I was very excited to know the name of that, by the way. From editing the daily videos, and was like, aha, that's the integration tower. I know
there
that one.
There you go. See, I didn't even know what that was labeled in the videos.
Switch cameras, and I'll show you where the berm is.
Oh yeah, actually, I can do that. You know a guy who controls the cameras, right?
Yeah, it turns out. Because I had to look up the word berm because I didn't know what it meant.
Really?
Well, it's just a structure to essentially protect everything else around it. It's just a wall. It's a dirt wall. They should probably just call it dirt wall.
Sorry for the non-smooth motion there, y'all. I was just doing this in a hurry, but that is the orbital platform. I'm logging into this solar-powered robot to control it remotely, but you can see the big berm. It looks like the skate ramp in front of the integration tower. You see the skeleton tower, and then down below that, there it looks like a... What is that? Trapezoid? Pentagon? I guess it's got 5 sides. Anyways, skate ramp. That's what I keep calling it, the skate ramp.
All right. Carrying on with some super chats from 80 minutes ago. It's fine.
Yep, you know how it is.
Hef Williams, great coverage at NASA spaceflight as always. They really need to stick the launch today. It might make the suspension of the Moon contract easier to resolve in their favor.
Potentially, it wouldn't hurt to stick the landing. That's for sure.
From Steve Timmons, there are no words to let you know how thankful I am for all of you. Well, maybe the previous words will help. Well, thank you very much for the support, Steve. I appreciate that a bunch. I know we all do here. From Stephen Berggraf, thank you very much for the support. From DIY Institute, they should paint a Dogecoin on the non-heat shield side of the Starship.
Seems to be a recurring theme.
I'm sure if they had time, I feel like you'd want to. My goodness. Tessie Thurston, with $1.99. I will be listening in all day while at school. Thank you very much for the support, Tessie. Florian, this is just a bunch of them here. Just trying to catch up. Florian Walser, would you say Brup, please? I'd be very happy. I don't know if that qualifies, but I feel like I just did. Mustang GT with a pound. Thank you very much for the support. Caleb Olson, with SpaceX winning the Lunar Lander contract, why doesn't NASA just use an expendable Starship in place of the Lunar Gateway as well?
That's a good question. Expendable Starship in place of the Lunar Gateway. So you mean just launch a Starship up there and use it as a Starship space station? I know that the Gateway is pretty well along its development pathway, and Starship can't even make orbit yet. So it seems a little premature to pull the rug out of everything else with plans to go back to the moon and try to just say, oh, well, there was Starship, why don't use everything Starship? That seems like putting your eggs all in one basket, and maybe that's not the best plan. So had Starship made orbit, and was Elon operating two test Starship space stations in low Earth orbit, and there were solar panels and arrays and way to expand the capability of Starship for long duration stays in space, that would be a different conversation. But right now, Starship hasn't gotten much closer to space than it is right now, sitting on the ground. So I think that's sort of, 12 kilometers, 10 kilometers, that's really not that much closer to space.
All right, from Thomas Maufer with a $5 super chat. I'm in Switzerland. Where are you from?
Oh no, it's a trap, DK.
Is that ASL? What's
No, because chat's all going to start saying where they're watching from, and then chat will be absolutely unreadable for like 15 minutes afterwards. As soon as people start to say where they're watching from, it is. Don't do it. Well, don't tell them not to do. Oh, now we're just done. Mods, duck and cover mods. Look at the chat go, DK.
Meow. Sorry, that's my bad.
No, it's all good. It's all good. There are 53,000 people watching in chat.
That's a couple, 2, 3 of them. There you go.
Yeah, okay.
John Halsey, hard to say, with £5. May the shuttle be with you. Chris is getting V-Lego worth it. Come on, SN15. When hop now hop. Thank you for the wide coverage and Jack effort for the stream. Thank you very much for the support, John. Yeah. From Paul Dawson, we got another £5. Hi guys, NSF coverage is the best by far. Do you know if any ballast is added to the nose to simulate any crew and equipment during the flip and burn?
I don't think that they've added anything internally yet. It's not really ballast. We know that the header tank is up there. There's a LOX header tank up there, but that is a part of the fueling system design, so I don't think that it counts as ballast. In terms of cargo payloads, I still think that they're working on getting the landing done before they started worrying about bulk up in the nose. I haven't seen anything like that. Like, they used to just put these big 20-ton blocks of steel on the top of Starship when they didn't have the nose cone on it, just to simulate the mass of the nose cone back in the SN5 sorts of days. But I haven't seen anything like that in Starship once they put nose cones in. I don't think they sneak them in there in the dark or anything. Like, we just saw SN16 get stacked the other day, and we didn't see a huge block of steel on top of it to simulate any sort of mass. So unless that was already in the nose cone, I don't know that that's there.
Sure. Micah Westman, any comment on the crazy situation with the Chinese booster coming down from God knows where? Thanks, as always, for the coverage.
Oh, Micah, I haven't been following that exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
It's one of the things when they launch over China, they do have some drop zones that are in areas where people live. And sometimes the boosters come down near or in villages, and sometimes there's some not very nice chemicals involved with those boosters. So we get some photos coming out of China of boosters like in the middle of a town leaking orange smoke. That's not good, right? The recent event, I haven't been keeping up with the recent event. I know they've been doing a lot of launches, and I know that they say that they clear the areas and people are safe, and then all of a sudden we have all these photos of the fact that this thing fell there, so somebody was there with a cell phone. But I don't know. Not really relevant to Starship, but I do hope that they are taking people's safety into account, and I'll leave it at that.
All right, from Samson Stark, $5 super chat. Thanks for all the great streams. You all rock. How about adding timestamps for when the events happen on the left, e.g., The recondenser.
We've thought about that, but because the times aren't given to us, like we don't know when they're supposed to happen, we don't usually try to predict when these things are going to happen. And because the timestamps don't actually mean anything in terms of are you going to have a launch, we felt like they're more confusing information than they are useful information. They just sort of clutter up the screen
Sure,
with a bunch
that
of
makes
junk.
sense. Like
Yeah,
if you have it sort of timed out like it's a speed run almost, and then that almost makes it look like it's more definitive that there will be a launch. We don't actually know yet.
Yeah, that's exactly, you got it exactly right, DK. Putting stuff like that on the screen sort of confuses and clutters things up a bit, because just because the road is closed at 12:05 doesn't mean anything for the launch other than the fact that the road is closed, yes or no. So that was our sort of decision on it. We want to keep a little bit cleaner interface.
All right, 100 NOK. That's Norwegian kroner, I believe. It is not a stress test rig. It is a Starship Iron Maiden.
Starship Iron Maiden. I almost jumped in. There's a joke around here because at one point...
I think they referenced it. P.S. Have some more
Yes.
North Korean dollars. Love
Yes.
from Norway. I assume that was a joke from a previous stream.
At one point, we didn't know what NOK was, and Jack, reading it out loud, guessed that they were North Korean dollars, and we'll never live it down. So,
That's great.
Wallace, we appreciate you there. Thanks for the North Korean dollars.
All right, Pandemic 270. Could Crew Dragon be redesigned to be able to provide reboost to ISS?
Oh, wow. Crew Dragon
Interesting.
redesigned to provide reboost. I mean, we know that visiting vehicles like the Progress visiting vehicles, the shuttle even did it once. That's wacky. But the visiting vehicles can use their engines to reboost the ISS, and that means increasing the velocity of the ISS, which gives it a little bit more energy in its orbit, which means that its orbit goes a little bit higher. The ISS is in the area of the atmosphere where there still is a little bit of atmosphere, and it gets dragged out of orbit very slowly over time. Not very quickly, but if we didn't do anything, the ISS would naturally fall out of orbit due to aerodynamic drag, right?
Yeah, eventually,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, eventually. Like years and years and years before that would happen. But the Crew Dragon, I've never heard of any plans for the Crew Dragon to be used for that. Or a Cargo Dragon. I don't know. That's something that I'll do some research on and see if they've ever mentioned it. I do not know the answer. I've never seen rumblings about that. Interesting. Another good question. I like it.
Yeah, I thought that one was good. I got a question from chat here, and perhaps you know this one. Why was the apogee lowered from 12.5 kilometers at SN8 to 10 kilometers?
Wind shears. So our understanding of why they lowered that apogee down a little bit was because that loosened up their wind constraints a little bit. When they fly up to 12, there's a little bit more opportunity for there to be wind shear up at that altitude and winds that would cause Starship not to want to fly today. And so by dropping it just a little bit, they made it a little bit more flexible when they could fly because they didn't have to worry about those winds.
All right, from Joshua Blick, we got 5 CHFs. Not sure what those ones are.
I don't know either.
So five chiffs. I'll look it up over your answer. Honest thoughts on if SN15 flies today. We still have no update on the SpaceX website, no preview. SNs flew without this. Greetings from Switzerland. So those are Swiss chiffs.
Swiss chiffs.
Yeah, Swiss chips. Yeah, that makes sense.
So as of right now, the two things that we're missing are Swiss francs. There we go. Swiss. Everybody in chat telling us Swiss francs.
It's Swiss. It's CHF. Okay, I don't feel bad about not knowing that one.
Yeah, you would think that it would start with an S, but that's me thinking in a very English-centric frame of mind, right?
Yeah, right.
So,
I googled it. Yeah, Switzerland and Liechtenstein both use the chiffs.
Cool. All right. So we're looking at this, and we're still missing two big pieces. The village has not been evacuated, last update that I'm aware of, and SpaceX hasn't posted anything on their website. So usually, day of launch, SpaceX will release a thing on their website that says, coming up, launch, right? And then the village evacuation is pretty straightforward. Starship not allowed to fly per FAA unless the village is cleared of residents. And if the residents get cleared out, then I'm going to say, yeah, wow, they really don't clear out the residents in this. They really are trying to go for it. But that hasn't happened yet, and we're in sort of a wait-and-see mode to see if it's going to happen.
All right, from Liam Hatton. What do you think SpaceX will use the Starlink satellite for on Starship? Maybe a stable camera connection for live streams and data?
Maybe. Either telemetry or a stable camera connection or something like that, like getting Starship down. We've heard via an FAA file or an FCC filing. I think that was, I can't remember, is that FCC because it's Communications Commission, or is that FAA? Permission to operate a Starlink dish during certain parts of the flight. And of course that, I mean, we're just telling you the things that it could be used for. It could be a camera link, or it could be telemetry. It could be, I don't know, they're going to run a speed test mid-flight and see how much bandwidth they get. I don't know what they're going to do, but it could be any of those things. Good question.
All right, from Stu Brompton, couple of pounds. Thank you very much for the support, Stu. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you for all the support, everybody. We're trying to get to all the questions. There are many, and they're getting away from us. High Plains Drifter put a flat Earth fool aboard to see the Earth's curve.
Oh, jeez.
Zachary
I still wouldn't
Grover.
believe you.
Yeah, they probably not. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which starship does the most exciting? Tanker, Lunar, Mars, or the secret Space Force one that uses the docking bay to Pac-Man enemy satellites?
Like, was that Moonraker or one of the James Bonds where they had a spacecraft that was eating other satellites or something like that?
Right.
Which is the most exciting? The one that flies. I just want to see him fly.
Right.
And land.
And land. Yeah. Land. The landing's what I want to see. Don't get me wrong. I love a good fly, but a land. Wouldn't mind a good land.
We've seen a couple flies. Yeah.
Yeah, the Finchy, with 5 pounds from the UK. Good luck, SN15, and great work, guys, with your stream. Thank you very much, Finchy.
Appreciate you, Finchy.
Charles Grant with 50 Canadian dollars. Chris, thanks for creating this community and looking after us. Thank you for the support, Charles, and thank you, Chris.
And no kidding. That's super generous. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, for the generosity. I appreciate it a bunch. This is interesting. From Anthony Burns. Built my entire Mission to Mars STEAM curriculum around SpaceX and NASA. Shout out to my North Hills Middle School students. That's great.
No kidding. Hey, here, clip this for us. Hey, what's up, North? Hang on a second. North Hills Middle School students? All right.
North Hills Middle School.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, North Hills Middle School students? Thanks for joining our broadcast here. Happy we're able to share this with you. There, you can clip that or send them a timestamp or something.
There you go.
You'd have to go back and find it because it's a live stream right now, but play that in class.
All right. Hopefully Anthony gets that. He was here a little while ago now.
Yeah.
He might be actively teaching.
Well, this should be on the screen in the classroom. Actually, maybe not while we're waiting. Yeah.
From chat here, we've got, why do the flip with Raptors? Weren't they going to use hot gas thrusters? I don't actually know what this question's about. Maybe you know more.
So when they come down and they're doing the belly flop, they use the thrust vectoring on the Raptors to get the majority of their attitude control to go from horizontal belly flop position to tail down landing position, right? And they do that because they get a lot more force off of the Raptors than they would from the thrusters. Like those Raptors gimbaled out to the side, vectoring the thrust, they're a lot of control authority. And also they can respond rapidly enough. The thrusters could do this as well, but the Raptors can move quickly enough to flip vertical, and then Raptor points the other way to stop the momentum and keep it in the vertical position. We've seen that happen. So I think it's just a force thing. I think they know the Raptors are online. The Raptors need to be online for landing anyways, and they can use that thrust vectoring to get some attitude control. So just using what they have.
As long as they're on, right?
Yep, you got it.
As long as they're firing. Another one from chat. Is SpaceX going to use the RCS today to help the Starship with its flip? And I don't believe that's correct.
We see it sometimes. I don't know the flip specifically, but we do see it firing during phases of the flight. The flip is primarily the Raptors with the thrust vectoring.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Last I saw. Who knows? Today it may do a complete backflip Kerbal style, and who knows?
We never know.
Not officially speaking for Elon Musk here. He didn't brief me this morning on what he plans to do.
All right, one Taylorus in chat with $9.52 just says thank you. Thank you very much for the support, Taylorus.
Yeah, cool.
We've got a bunch of new members here that I'm just going to quickly shout out here.
Yeah, DK, you want me to grab some? I can run the members real quick if you want to take a break, get a sip or drink or something like that.
Honestly, I very much could do that. It would be great. If you want to run through those real quick, I'll be right back.
Yeah, Absolutely, I gotcha. Hey, Psycho, Psycho61613, thank you so much for joining the membership program here. You can get some cool perks like access to Discord and previews of videos and stuff like that. Different levels of memberships have different things, but we appreciate you there. Thank you. Nick Park as well, appreciate you joining the crew. Crypto Fett, as opposed to Bobo Fett or Django Fett, apparently that's Crypto Fett. Thank you very much. Octograbber, aren't you supposed to be on a drone ship? Thank you so much for joining us. Domingo Guzman de Frutos, thank you as well. Appreciate you tuning in. Claire Magister, I'm going to go with, is a new member. We've got Tater with an AIT. Thank you so much, Tater, for watching the broadcast and helping support what we do. BU Dude 2 as well. Thank you so much. Izzy J snuck through as well. Let's scroll down a bit. We've got Kevin Von Brecht. Anyways, appreciate you, Kevin. Timothy Cole as well. Timothy, thank you. Jesse the Necro Guardian. I feel like I have to say that, like Jesse the Necro Guardian. I don't know if that's the right way to say that, but when you say your name, it needs like an accent or something. Thank you for the support. Y'all, the members really do help us out a lot. Super chats are fantastic each stream, but the members help us keep on going whenever we're not doing the streams. It's been a while since we've had a Starship full-on launch stream, and those memberships really do help us keep things going for the daily videos and increasing our robot camera army and all of the different things. So Eric Putney as well, thank you so much for the membership. Bastian P as well. I'm going all the way down. Douglas Hanna, Edward Prentice. I don't see the levels that each one of these are, but whatever level you joined at, we appreciate the support, whether it's $5 or $50 or $25 or whatever level it is. We do it. It all adds up. Skip Bruce is a new member as well. And we've also got Ian James, too. And let's see here. I always feel like I'm reading the credits on Whose Line Is It Anyways? And Pat Fiddler came through. Thank you for joining the membership crew. Then I didn't have anything clever to say, credits-wise. Philip Meadow, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like Whose Line?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, just going through all the names and yeah.
Yep. All right, and look at that there. I'll switch to this camera real quick, and you can see the fully deployed flaps. Still pretty hazy there, though. We got Philip Meadows, I think. Maybe one or two more. I'm clearing out the entire queue of all the memberships. Anthony
I see
Avila.
that. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And a couple of new members coming in as you're doing that, too, which is great.
Wow.
Thank you, guys.
Cool. Yeah, right there. I'm actually going to clear them off.
Yeah.
Cokeblick as well. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but we appreciate you one way or the other. Your MJK is a new member that just joined. Todd Heineken just joined. The Larich just joined. These are appearing in the interface as I click them. Sam Brady just joined. And I win, chat. I read all of the new members. You are not allowed to join anymore. The queue is clear. Thank you for your support, and good night. Oh, Toby Sparks. Jeez, come on. Oh, actually, three people. Toby Sparks, Stephen Van Dever, and T.M. Kre as well. Y'all, for real, the memberships really do help us out in terms of a just recurring revenue. They're sort of like subs on Twitch, right, DK? Like, you know how important it is to have subs. Because
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Sort of,
I mean, it keeps the lights on. It really, really does.
Keeps the lights on. You know in advance that at the end of the month you're going to get that check, and the subs are sort of the memberships are sort of the same way here on YouTube. So across the board, everybody that joined, including Max Bertel, late breaking news. Thank you so much for the support. All right.
All right, I'm gonna go back to some super chats if you're all right with it.
Yeah, and I'll go through the queue and I'll pull some free questions as well. We always try to.
Yeah, I can do a little more of those.
I'll get some into the queue
There's many super chats.
No, gosh, there.
From Martin Piper, we've got SGD5, which I think are Singapore dollars. Is that correct? I'm sure somebody in the chat will let me know. Thank you for all the great coverage from all of us at Alpha Centauri. Receiving you loud and clear via our wormhole network. Question, will it land or bland?
Will it land or bland?
Will it land or bland?
Now wait, is that bland like a boring landing or
is it like a blowing up landing?
I don't know.
It's litho breaking, yeah.
Yeah, I gotta get some information on this wormhole network. Can I run robotic cameras off this wormhole network? And if so, can I get a live camera at Alpha Centauri? And if so, how much did it cost?
Does the wormhole network support 5G? Because that's all I have on my phone, and I just want you to know.
Oh no.
Grant Latus in Super Chat. Can anyone imagine how loud the Super Heavy booster will be on liftoff?
Oh, geez. It'll be interesting to hear that from South Padre. South Padre is about 5 miles away. Isla Blanca Park, the closest you can publicly view from, is about 5 miles away. And it'll be interesting to see what happens when they light all those engines at the same time. Jeez.
A couple questions that you grabbed from chat here. From Chris. Woo. Nope, from Chris. Has the FTS been armed?
So we're not exactly sure. The question there is about the flight termination system. A little bit difficult to see. I'll see if I can get a better view. But there's two little white boxes of literal explosives on the side of Starship. And that is in case Starship loses control, like something goes horribly wrong and it points at South Padre Island and the engines are still going and it still has fuel. How do you make sure that Starship does not reach South Padre Island? You blow it up.
I did not know this.
Look at this. Michael is sneaking around in the back of the stream right there. That is a photo of the 2 flight termination, literally boxes filled with explosives. And on this photo, it's a little hard to see, but there's 2 little safety tags, 2 little red safety tags coming out of the wiring harness on the bottom. And I believe those are, we call it the pins. I don't know if it's an actual arming pin or not, but we call it the pins to arm the FTS. We don't know right now if the FTS is armed or not. It's really hard to see that. You need a telephoto lens. You need to get right up next to it. And we do not know if those pins have been removed. Now, if I see a lift go up close to the FTS, then we could say, well, I guess they were safe and they're going to arm them before the flight. But I don't know the specific status on that, yay or nay, right now.
That's really interesting. I did not know that at all. So there's just I don't know what to call it, an opt-out.
It's an opt-out.
Yeah.
It literally will just blow the Starship tanks so that the Raptor has no more fuel and cannot keep pushing the Starship in a direction. And Starship
so it just comes down safely.
Drop
Absolutely.
well.
No, that's great.
Safely, as long as you're not underneath it.
Well, yeah, it's safely as a matter of perspective.
Yeah, safely because it's in a controlled manner in the cleared safety zone. That's why they have the boat keep out area. That's why they have the roadblocks and village evacuations and all that stuff. They can bring it down in an area where they know that people are not supposed to be, which is safe.
Doing some more questions just from chat here.
Cool.
From Matuz. In what hour will it launch? And I think I can answer that one for Eastern time. It's going to be between 1 p.m. and 9 p.m. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the window.
It's a current window. We don't know an exact time yet.
Yep, we can't tell you exactly when. We're still waiting for the village to be evacuated and the SpaceX website to have something about this flight on it. Those are the 2 things we're missing.
Some more comments from chat will say. Sam Brady says, I'll upgrade it to $19.99 a month if SN15 lands. I think Sam Brady was a recent new member.
Yeah, we'll hold you to it. That's why I put it into the queue. It's on the live stream now, Sam. Don't show up to the live
now
stream.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to. It says it on the ticker. You have to do that now. We appreciate the support, Sam. Thank you so much.
I like this one. Medi walkthroughs. Can you draw the sus imposter on Starship?
Oh, jeez. Give me some time. I'll spool up the telestrator later. Right now, we're a little short-staffed.
Listen, just keep on doing your tasks. We'll get it.
Yeah, keep on doing your tasks.
From Dan S. I don't like seeing that many likes on this stream relative to the number of viewers.
Oh,
Put that on the queue here. We're at 12,000 likes so far.
12,000 likes and 56,000 viewers right now. Y'all, this is a fun game. It's at 12,000 right now. If I told you 15, that would be too easy. I know that you could. It's already at 13.5, so that was 1,000 likes because you mentioned it. I wonder if it can get to 20. Can it get to 20? Like, no chance. SN15 needs your support.
Do you mean like within the next hour, or do you mean like today?
No, I mean probably within a few seconds of me saying that.
There, yeah, it's already at 14 now. All right, there you go.
It's already over 15.5. It updates like every few seconds. But let's see if we can get that all the way up to 20,000 likes in support of SN15. How's this? If you want to see SN15 fly, like it. Click the little thumbs up button. How's that sound?
I like it.
That's bait as well. All right, I admit I put that into the queue so that you would say it out loud, so that I would have an excuse to say, "Oh, don't you still like the stream?"
Oh, everybody. No, I mean, you set up your own pitch there. That was good.
We're at 17 and a half now. I don't know if they can make 20. Now I'm going to challenge them and act like they can't do it, and they're going, I'm going to prove that guy wrong, and they'll click the little thumbs up button. This is disgusting, Chad. I'm sorry. I don't apologize. Whatever. Thanks for watching.
One more question from chat, and then we'll get to some more super chats. From BRC, are they already using the vacuum, I believe it's supposed to be optimized, Raptors on SN15?
So we've seen the vacuum Raptors being tested up at McGregor, their test center, engine test center, but we have not seen them arrive down at Boca Chica, and this Starship SN15 only has 3 of the sea-level Raptor engines installed on the bottom. So you can tell the difference.
Okay.
The vacuum Raptors have these huge engine bells, and the sea-level engines have these little engine bells just where they're optimized to work, and this just has 3 of these small engine bell sea-level Raptors on it.
All right, great. And let's get to some more super chats here.
Excellent.
Boyd, I feel like we already did this one, or is this just another question that's almost identical from Rasmus Lindahl, SEK, 50 SEKs. I don't think I remember what that one is. Answer honestly, do you guys think you'll one day be able to travel to space? I don't know if that's the same question we got before. I feel like I cleared that out.
I think we did, yeah. Maybe sometimes the interface is a little laggy because it's not really designed to have 55,000 people chatting. Because, I mean, DK, our interface is pulling everything that happens in chat, and it's looking at every single line of chat, and it's searching the line of chat to make sure that it's a question that's tagged NASA spaceflight or it's a super chat or whatever. Like, we're literally pulling from the YouTube API. So I think we might have just got that one twice, but...
That could be.
Yeah.
Just a couple of super chats without messages here. We've got Mario Colenbrander. Thank you very much for the 5.49 euros. Annie Crowhurst, thank you very much for the pound. Stu Brompton with £5 for us. Thank you very much. Oh, interesting. Okay, so from James Martin, there's a $5 super chat. I saw someone tinkering with the FTS modules at about 4:45 this morning for 15 minutes. Was that guy arming the FTS?
A lot of times we've seen the lifts up around the FTS for an hour to an hour and a half. So if they were only up for 15 minutes, it's certainly possible they went up there and activated them and all it takes is 15 minutes. But normally in the past where we've seen activity that we would say is they're working on it, they're arming it, it's taken like an hour to an hour and a half. So not exactly sure, but again, don't know for sure. You have to have like a super zoom lens right there next to it in order to see the status of that. And we
absolutely, and we're not able to have that right now with them setting everything up, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. From Baco04, it's 2 chiffs. Again, the Swiss francs.
Nice.
Let's get some hashtag WhenHop in chat. There you go. I like that one.
Hashtag WhenHop. You know that we have the WhenHop merch on the store, right? DK, do you have any merch?
Not yet. I very much anticipate getting some.
Yeah,
but
I'll
not
talk
yet.
to the store guy and have him ship you like a shirt and stuff. I'll DM you your shirt size and stuff like that. But we should.
Yeah, right on. Absolutely, that'd be great.
Cool. All right. Luckily, we know the guy. There, y'all. Shop.nasaspaceflight.com. I'll bring that up so we can show it on the screen later. I'm just not a little short-handed to do that right now. But another great way to support what we do is to visit shop.nasaspaceflight.com, and we've got WhenHop hats and T-shirts, and we've got Texas Tank Watcher hoodies and all sorts of different ways to show your support and confuse people a lot of the time. They're like, "What is on your shirt?" And you can explain it. You have another viewer. On
just like the super chats, that goes a long way to keep the lights on. So that's great.
Absolutely does.
And thank you to everybody who already has some merch, maybe.
Yep. I love getting pictures, like photos. Like the best photo on Twitter is, oh, I'm wearing my WhenHop hoodie and I've got the NASA spaceflight stream on my monitor in the background, and thanks for streaming. Like I love seeing those on Twitter.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Twitter, at NASA Spaceflight. I'm K Space Academy. I think we had your Twitter up there. Your DK.
Yeah, it's at declarations, so it's DK Larations. It looks like the word declarations only with a DK instead of a DEC.
Gotcha.
And
the story
my phone is in a locked box right now because it keeps on buzzing with new people coming in. Some more super chats here from Mark Smith. Now 80 minutes ago. Sorry, Mark, that's taken us a while to get here. Does Starship have 2 engines on the tile side to compensate for the eventual extra weight of the heat tile system? Estimation of 1 tile? Question mark. I imagine estimation of weight. Is that the?
Eventual extra weight. I mean, certainly they've done that, right? They certainly know the weight of that and how that's going to balance out, and is that going to be structures or pipes or something like that on the other side? That's something certainly SpaceX knows. I don't know the estimation of 1 tile. I don't think they've been passing those out. I'm not sure if anybody has one in hand from a RUD or anything, but good question. Don't know the specific answer though, unfortunately.
Yeah. Mark S giving us $4.99 in pounds. Will the larger load capacity of Starship lead to the designers of satellites to get lazy and not develop smaller, compact technology? I feel like probably not. They'd just put more satellites in the thing itself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things that enabled the satellite revolution is like semiconductors, microprocessors, and all this sort of stuff, bringing electronics down so you're not needing like vacuum tubes and this big heavy stuff to put into orbit. Now that we're getting larger rockets, or I guess larger rockets, we've got the Saturn V back in the day, but maybe it will allow them. I just don't know. Do you deploy one freaking huge satellite, or do you deploy 5 smaller satellites in the same volume? I can tell you that satellites will probably last longer because they can be larger. Because a lot of the limiting factor for the life of a satellite is its thruster fuel that it uses to station keep and maintain position and desaturate reaction wheels, control moment gyros, all this sort of stuff, right? It consumes fuel, and so the useful lifespan of a satellite is sometimes related to when it runs out of fuel.
Sure.
And
yeah.
so if you put larger fuel tanks on it, heavier fuel tanks on it, you ship it with more fuel. Satellites in Earth orbit can last longer. Satellites or probes that are going places can also have a lot more delta V to get there. So you could get to Pluto more quickly, or you could get to Mars or Venus or whatever more quickly. I mean, all sorts of options that you get just from more fuel mass, even if the electronics don't have to be smaller. Makes sense? I rambled a little bit there, but
Yeah, no, I get it. No, absolutely. That's all makes a lot of sense. It would be. We'll find out, I guess. I mean, it could also be just that it'll be. I don't know. I don't know if it necessarily will discourage them to make smaller compact tech. I think that it gives them the opportunity to have a more specific design meant for a specific purpose if they can have it be bigger. Does that make sense?
yeah, that does make sense.
Like if they can have it bigger, then they're going to, but that's going to do a different job than those smaller ones are going to. Jesse the Necro Guardian, $2 super chat. You guys are awesome. Love the coverage as always. Thank you very, very much, Jesse. Appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Michael Flynn with 10 euros. Is NSF concerned about the lack of an old wooden ship on the stream team? I don't know if that's a reference. You're gonna have to let me know on that one.
Let's see here. I'm juggling.
Old wooden ship.
Lack of an old wooden ship on the stream team. I'll take a stab at this. I wonder if they're talking about the pirate ship, because we've always said that there's a pirate ship. You can go and do a pirate tour around South Padre R, right? And we always see the pirate ship on flight day, and it's a question as to whether or not Starship can fly if the pirate ship hasn't gone out to sea. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I like it. From
We don't have it on
Doodle.
the checklist, so the pirate ship's not on the checklist. So
Yeah, there you go. From Dougal, $7 Canadian. I'm excited to see this launch. Rawr. How far can the bridge crane move around within the high bay?
Oh, wow. I believe it's 2-axis, so it can go, towards and away from the door and then side to side, but I don't know exactly how far to the side. Certainly it has some sort of support, and it has to get close enough to the side that it can tuck a Starship in the side of the door there. So can I just say it moves around enough to move Starships around? I can't tell you. Fingers of clearance thing.
But so it does move in I guess technically 3 axes, right? So it's not just like a back and forth. It also has a side to side as well, so it can fully move around.
Yep, it's back and forth to and from the door, and then it's side to side across the door, and then of course the third one would be up and down because it's a crane, right? It has a cable that'll go up and down to raise and lower parts in the high bay.
From chat right here. I lost it. Oh, here we go. Forget when hop. The more pressing question is #when land.
Oh, geez. Hopefully today.
Yeah, there you go.
Hopefully it flies today, and hopefully it'll land today.
From Chow Teggy and Super Chat, why does it always seem foggy at the cameras?
Haze. So there's two different things that we're fighting against there. Today it looks like humidity. We'll get a lot of humidity because it's right there on the beach. You get blowing dust. It's a construction site. You get sand, all sorts of stuff in the air that's just sort of diffusing our view a little bit. And we get a lot of turbulence as well. We're looking out over roads, over water areas, over grassy areas, and the differentials in how much heat comes off of each of those areas causes the air to roil, like the air sort of bubbles, like water boiling in a kettle on the stove or a pot on the stove. And so that air bubbling bends the light a little bit, and we get this little bit of a hazy view. When you go to a closer in camera, you know that it's a lot clearer simply because there's less atmosphere in between. And,
Well,
you know,
also, it's worth mentioning again that these cameras are way farther away than they appear.
Yeah, but this one's not. I just switched to this one.
No?
But
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
This camera is, I don't know, 500 feet away, and so you can see it's really clear when we're up close because there's not much atmosphere in between. But if we back off to like Mars Cam here, this way out, check my latency here. Yeah, there you go. So that is all the way zoomed out, and that's about 1.6 miles away. They better not keep parking cranes in there.
Yeah. If that crane goes over like 20 feet, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and I see the chat spamming like crazy right now. Let's see here. I'm trying to see what people are spamming F's about. Oh, a stream. There was like a stream hiccup there or something?
Yeah, actually, I had it on my end too. It was just a bit of buffering.
Let me see here. Okay, I'm just checking YouTube. YouTube does this sometimes. 926. Yeah, it looks like it had a little teeny tiny brief hiccup there a couple of seconds ago. Interesting. But we are sending a stream. Yeah, it's going to the right place. Not exactly sure what just hiccuped there, but it says we're back. Chat, instead of spamming F, spam refresh. Do something useful. Because if you just spam F, people, that doesn't help anybody.
That doesn't help anybody, I agree.
If it's buffered and people don't know how to get it back, spam refresh instead of
There you go.
F. Refresh your browser. Do something useful, chat. Jeez.
Keeping up with the super chats from Sammy Miami. That's a great name. Thank you for all the awesome stream and updates on Starship program. Love your voice, DK. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Sammy. It's a good way to have your question read. From Felix Fornazier with a $5 super chat. Anyone in class right now watching the live stream? Hopefully the class is watching the live stream.
Yeah, it should be. Can you imagine, like when I was in school, they'd roll that old TV in on the cart. You'd be like, "Oh, nice."
Yeah, with like the laser disc or whatever.
Yeah, the laser disc. Pretty sure we watched some VHS tapes that back in the day, but they'd roll that in, and it's like, "Oh yeah, nice. Now we're gonna be able to watch a movie today instead of have regular class." Wouldn't it be cool if it was a Starship stream? It was the day to watch the Starship stream instead of like an old. I'm trying to think of a movie we watched. I don't even know. Huh.
Well, what is it with Matt Damon and Robin Williams? I can't think of it suddenly.
Good Will Hunting?
Good Will Hunting, yes. That's definitely one of those ones that I feel like gets shown in classes often.
Yeah, gotcha.
Some super chats. Cole Medina? Close enough. 5 pounds. What is the distance from the current launch pad to the intended landing zone? That's a good question.
Oh, wow. Not far. Like, you could lay Starship over, and it would almost be touching the edge of the landing pad, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah, it's there. The landing pad's really not too far away. Is that just just a Discord thing?
That makes me more nervous about the nose cone testing rig.
Yeah. We'll see. They've done a pretty good job of keeping it at least really close to the concrete.
From Blue Sensei, a $5 super chat. We're keeping up on these, but this is still from a little while ago, guys. How are y'all doing this morning? I'm doing great, Blue Sensei. Thank you for asking. From Vetpan 12, €5, but can it do a flip? Let's hope.
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
It starts high enough. I don't think it would land after the flip, but
well, I mean, not like a full flip, more like a little, little side.
more of a barrel roll, or
more of a little above a belly flop, you know.
yeah, you know.
The Ryuk support team giving a £1 super chat. Thank you very much for the support. From Guy Richmond. How about a 4th of July NASA Spaceflight.com barbecue music fest, aka Sound Guy NYC?
I mean, it sounds like a good plan to me.
I could go for a barbecue. It's been a long pandemic.
Yeah, it has. I can't wait to get to. It'll probably be at Boca Chica. Look, if it happens, it'll probably be at Boca Chica when we are all able to get together. But oh, we've got a status update, DK. Fresh off
no.
Twitter. Not good news.
I see it. Not good news.
Yep, folks. Breaking news here. I'm going to get this on the stream, but unfortunately, Mary, Boca Chica gal, sharing via Twitter. Let me just bring this up, make sure I read it exactly. No evacuation is needed as it's a scrub for Starship SN15 launch today. Wind hop continues. So looks like Mary got official communication that they were not going to ask her to evacuate the village. Without the evacuation, no potential for a flight. And so that is an official scrub for SN15 today. So let me get this on the screen just really quickly here. Unfortunately, repeating, that is an official scrub. Mary has gotten word from SpaceX. It looks like they're not going to ask her to evacuate, and they are scrubbing for it today. Jeez, OP. It happens. It happens. But let me get that on the screen really quickly just to make sure everybody knows. There's that. Show me this. And get it nice and centered.
Was wind a concern for?
It is. I don't know that we know exactly why.
Yeah, I don't think they give us a real reason, but.
Yeah. So here we go. On the screen, tweet from Mary saying no evacuation needed as it's a scrub for SN15 launch today. Wind hop continues.
When hop continues.
So, we are going to continue to repeat this status update for a short while here, y'all. We will continue to answer a couple super chats and stuff like that, but officially from Mary, I tell you, if you want to know what's happening in Boca Chica, follow Mary. She lives there. She's one of the very few residents who actually still lives there. There's a lot of people who drive into Boca Chica, and there's a lot of cool pictures that are taken of Boca Chica. Most of those, in fact, none of those people actually live there. Mary is the only person really that lives there in the village. Very few residences that are still occupied by people, and Mary is one of them. And if you want to get the latest information on what's happening, sometimes good news, something gets stacked, here's a sunrise, etc., at Boca Chica Gal on Twitter is the follow that you want. Also, looks like we pinned that in chat as well. Thank you, Chris B, for pinning that status update. And we've updated the overlay as well. You can also see that it says up at the top that it is an official scrub. Again, repeating, no evacuation needed. It's a scrub for Starship SN15 launch today. This is the one, DK, that you don't want to like. You know, you don't want to click.
Yeah.
You gotta
There's no thumbs down option on Twitter.
I know. It is. Anyways.
It is great that we get those updates from her, though.
Oh, absolutely.
And frequently you'll get a little preview of some footage that'll maybe show up in some of our daily videos, too.
That's true. That is absolutely true. So, folks, we have a massive queue of super chats here. DK, I'm gonna scroll through and just try to grab some. I can't grab all of them, but
there are many, as well as even more members and a lot of people being very, very generous and supporting the stream and supporting the channel.
Yep.
And everything that NASA Spaceflight does.
I'm gonna scroll through and just choose some randomly, folks. We apologize that we can't get all of the super chats read here. We would literally be here for hours. But here's Daniel. In the words of Forrest Gump, it happens. It happens. Starship's like a box of chocolates. I don't know how it's like a box of
Sometimes
chocolates.
it gets scrubbed.
Sometimes a box of chocolates get scrubbed. I don't know. Daniel, thank you for the support. Holly Everett Bollinger says, thank you. It's been a dream come true being a part of history in the making. Never thought you'd sit outside the gate and watch SN15. Holly, thank you for saying that. I'm not even clicking to put these on the screen right now. I'll read some of them, but I want to leave the launch attempt has been scrubbed for the day front and center on the screen.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Understand that.
I've got a good one from Robert Myers here. $20 super chat. When I was a kid, I watched most of the Apollo program on black and white TV. Now I watch Starship on YouTube in 4K. Your commentary is much better. Well, thank you, Robert. And thank you for the support.
Good deal. Hey, here's one. Peter Von Bush says, my boys, Barrett, Elliot, and Everett, love you guys. Go SN15. Peter, thank you for tuning in with the family. Barrett, Elliot, Everett, thank you all for tuning in and watching. And SN15 will have to go maybe tomorrow. We'll see what SpaceX updates are on that. But thank you so much for sharing this with your family. Here's Paul LaMadeline says, I remember them rolling those TVs in so we could watch the first launches of the shuttle. Nice.
Wow.
I don't ever remember our time in South Texas. Like, I grew up down in South Texas, not too far from Boca Chica. I don't remember ever getting to watch a shuttle launch. But that is a cool thing to remember, that's for sure. I'm scrolling, DK. I'm scrolling.
Yeah, I'm flipping through a bunch here too.
Go from the top down, you know.
Yeah, I'll go. You're going. Are you going from the top down, or are you saying?
I'll go from the bottom up.
Okay,
So
great.
most-
I'll go from the top down.
Yeah, cool. Bill Sparks says, "May the 4th be with you, and beware of tomorrow." Uh-oh. Revenge of the 5th is tomorrow.
Revenge of the 5th. There you go.
Maybe it's gonna be Revenge of the 15th. Because Starship.
Yeah, the SN15. Yeah, it's like, well, hopefully it doesn't last until the 15th.
Really work, I guess. But anyways, you know. Thank you, Bill Sparks, for that one.
Let's see. From JF Anderson, I presume that space travel will become affordable to the average Joe within 40 years. Maybe. We can only hope. I'd love to see it in my lifetime.
Cool. Joe Dopker says, love the streams and updates. Keep them coming. The Tuba Man, watching from my sister's house while watching her dogs. The dogs are sitting on top of you. Send help. Tuba Man, come on. Appreciate you watching. Jeez.
From Graham W, we've got 35 ZARs. Is that South African Rand? Is that correct? Is Starship 15 constructed of the new 30X stainless steel?
The 30X, maybe they're talking about the 3mm stainless steel. 30X stainless steel doesn't ring a bell. Maybe I'm
I
wrong.
don't actually know what that was. I was hoping that.
Yeah, SN15 is not the 3mm as far as we're aware. They had that 3mm test tank, but I think SN15 is still at the 4mm level. So, hey, Tessie Thurston says thank you for live today from ELA class. So Tessie, thank you for joining in. Michelle Welch as well. Thank you for the $20. So.
Super chat from Zach. When will they roll out the SN15? At least one day later than they were planning to.
Yeah.
That's the answer that I have for that one.
Yeah. Rob DeBoer says, I don't see any water flowing or a flame trench with these hops. There is water flowing. There's actually Rainbird's water suppression system down at the bottom, but they don't have a flame trench or anything like that. The orbital launch platform is going to be a bigger structure that has a little bit more flame mitigation, altitude and area for flame to spread out. But these test stands don't have a lot of mitigation. They just have some Rainbird sort of water sprinklers down below that deluge with the water, and then it takes energy to flash that water to steam, which it takes out of the exhaust, helps to keep from ricocheting and that sort of stuff. So good eye, but these do not have those mitigation issues, standpoints, features, whatever the right way is. So again, y'all, to repeat, Starship SN15 flight is scrubbed for today. We got word from Mary that there is officially no evacuation of the village, and so we're just sort of hanging out here, telling people what the status is, thanking some people for the support, the super chats and stuff like that. But it is scrubbed. We got it at the top of the screen, we got it at the bottom of the screen. We pinned the message in chat. trying to do everything we can to make sure y'all know that it is scrubbed for today while we answer a couple of these let's say thank you to a couple of super chats. No way we can get through both of them. Or both of them, all of them.
Yeah. there
Hey,
there
Dust.
are quite a few.
Oh, hey.
Hey, Jack.
Jack, what's up?
Not. I was about.
Jack, we can't hear you.
It's breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, we got you full on robot mode.
Well, give that Jack a moment there. A good one, good super chat here from Steve Cooper What Kelly. Great work, NSF. Sending everyone at NSF and the rest of the mods many thanks for everything they do. Thank you to everybody on the mod team that are monitoring the chat there, making sure that everything stays kosher.
Yeah. Here, I'm actually going to spool up a hotspot for Jack off one of the robot controls. So give me just a second, DK, if you read some.
Sure, I'll just keep on reading more. We got from Mr. Bonkers, watching from the Netherlands, ready for a stream until 3 a.m. Thanks for the coverage, guys. You're recording history here. Mr. Bonkers, thank you very much for the support. Appreciate it a ton. From Alpha Game Tory, that's an excellent name, firstly. $5 super chat. Thanks for the stream at NASA Spaceflight. When do you think Elon will let Jebediah Kerman fly a Starship? Time will only tell. Time will only tell.
Never if he's smart.
So yeah. We'll see. Maybe Jebediah has some Dogecoin. Let's see. Brennan Dignan, $5 super chat. The UFO disrespect on this channel is real. Here's a $5 for an attitude change.
What?
I don't know what that one's about.
Not disrespect.
That went a different direction than I thought it was when I first started reading it.
Nice.
Let's see. From Osborne, €5 in the super chats. It's going to be first successful landing off of Starship is a fixed point in time. Will it happen today? Only Time Lords can tell.
Nice.
Excellent Doctor Who reference. From James King, $5 super chat. Now from about 44 minutes ago. What time is the launch today? It will not be, unfortunately. The launch is officially scrubbed.
Error.
Also, I accidentally clicked the wrong thing and messed up our lower third there because now it shows the.
Oh, that's okay.
chat.
You can click the red X and it'll clear it up and go back to the standing.
Oh, it'll go
message.
back? Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Because the button exists because we've had the problem before. We've accidentally done that. So you click the
Yeah,
red
there
X.
you go. Yeah, well, I just missed it by a couple pixels.
Yep.
Let's see. Anthony Asquith in the super chat, £5. Thank you very much for the support, Anthony, and thank you to all of these. We're going to try to get to as many as we can, and we might not get to all of them, and I apologize for that. Emilio Besana with 5 chiffs from Switzerland. Here's your chiff. By the way, love your content. Thank you very much, Emilio. Appreciate it a ton. Oop, and I did it again.
All right, I'm on the. I'm fine. Better?
Let's see, Jack. We're getting like some wind cut or something. It sounds like, but just say hi. What are you doing out there? Let's see how stable it is.
Yeah, I'm at. But was out here earlier troubleshooting thing, photos. Going to rush back to park. Grub.
You're still a little hiccupy there, Jack. It sounds like the mic is fighting ambient noise or something like that. Jack is actually out there at Boca Chica, y'all. He was helping us work on the robots and cameras, and he was going to back off and go back over and run one of the broadcast units for us. But right now, it sounds like we may have a little bit of audio difficulty. Signal not too great out there today, it looks like. Jack, are you picking up us? Like, can you hear us okay? Or is it just...
Yeah, I can. You guys.
Yeah. Chat, how do y'all hear Jack right now? Like, does Jack sound okay to y'all, or is he cutting in and out? Talk like for 30 seconds, talk about the weather or something. Do you think it's the weather, Jack, or...
I don't know. I mean, was calm picked up? Is continued to expect to be pick up throughout the day, or what? I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
South Island.
Yeah, Jack, I don't think we can use the audio right now. It's cutting in and out pretty constantly there. So I'll talk for Jack. It's super super tough out there, and Jack has actually rolled out. He was emergency delivering some backup batteries for things. We had to do a power swap on one of the robots, and he had a couple of the swappable batteries that we've designed to be able to swap in and out, and just didn't like some of the voltage moving around. And needed some more watts in some places, or watt hours in some places, I guess. So Jack was delivering a battery to Boca Chica this morning, and so he's out there near the launch site right now. But it sounds like he's cutting in and out. So Jack, if you're copying this, if you want to try to move somewhere else, like go down to the beach and stand on top of the dunes or whatever, maybe you could get some better signal over there. Like if you move to a new location, happy to do another signal check there for you. But Jack is out there. Both Jack and Mary are super critical for making all of these robotic cameras work. It would not be possible for us to operate the cameras. They don't teleport. They don't fly there. They get deployed by Jack and Mary, and they get maintained. The lenses get wiped off, batteries get swapped and maintained, upgrades get installed, just all the maintenance that happens to keep them running. That's because Mary's out there every day, and then Jack comes through and did a bunch of the original deployments, lugging batteries across the beach for us. So massive thanks to both of them for keeping these cameras running. And then in turn, they can take it easy. They don't have to be sitting by the side of the road for 12 hours straight while we wait for Starship to scrub today. They can just go about their business while the robots cover for them. And then when it's go time, we just roll out the human broadcast rigs when it's actually go time.
Yeah.
So it's a good relationship. I do think, DK, let's read some more super chats here. Just
Yeah, there's so many. I'd really like to be able to get to all of them, but that's just not going to be possible. We're going to try to get as many as we can. I've got a $20 super chat from Blue Sensei. What's the delay on super chat? About that long.
About that long. However long that was.
I did as good as I could.
From Pavel, the Czech Republic there as well. Thank you, Pavel.
David Newton, a $10 super chat. Thank you very, very much. From Lars Ride Jepsen, 50, I believe it's a Danish krona. Good luck, SN15. Good luck indeed. Unfortunately, it's not going to launch today. We've got an official word that it is indeed scrubbed.
Yep, you got it. As we both, so a silence as we read.
Yeah, we're going through all of the super chats here. There's a couple of questions here. I don't know if we necessarily have time to answer. There's some stuff here that I don't actually know. We got one from.
Go ahead. Yeah, I was going to say, since it's just me, I can keep the answer short. Sometimes when you get like Chris on here, we'll ask a question, which is not something to complain about. Don't get you wrong, but I'm happy to grab a couple just quick ones. Again,
sure, just a couple.
We're just trying to read out some of the lagging questions here.
From Mr. Olamari, a little while ago now, $5 super chat. My first interaction, great work, guys. Will SN15 be fully covered with thermal tiles?
SN15 will
excuse me, 17. I misread.
I don't know the exact plan on exactly what's going to get full coverage. We know that they're making it and they're testing these deployment systems, but you'll be able to tell when they're going to completely cover one side because there's these little studs, these little sticks that stick out of the side. They're literally little studs that stick out of the surface of the stainless steel. I think they're welded onto the surface of the stainless steel, but that's what they attach the tiles to. So when you see a Starship that looks like it's half stuck full of pins and it's got studs on the entire bottom side, the ventral side there, the bottom belly of Starship, that Starship would be a candidate for having full coverage for tiles all over it. And I don't believe, geez, DK, this is something to look for when you're doing the daily videos.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
believe a Starship that has little studs completely on one side yet.
Not that we've seen yet, no. I can definitely take a look for it, and we'll point it out in a video when we see it.
Yeah. So that's another, DK, it's fantastic to have you on these streams because you will, just by osmosis, learn 18...
Yeah, absolutely. Learn just a little bit more to be able to help with all of our labels on the videos that we do daily.
Yeah, so we'll it's good to have you here because you will hear me answer tons of questions and then you'll know it for the daily videos and everything else. So anyways, thank you for joining us. Let's read a couple more.
I'm very happy to be here. Let's see. Once the Luna contract is worked out, or lunar contract probably, do you believe NASA will have more say on how Starship is tested instead of the rapid build and launch? Will NASA ask SpaceX to be more methodical in their testing methods?
Maybe. I think for portions of that specific program, they may be more methodical. Like they'll have to go through specific reviews and have certain milestones that they have to report on and all that sort of stuff. I don't know exactly how that's going to match into the other rapid Starship development because there are some components that don't really have anything to do with it. And can they keep going down that path? I don't think SpaceX is going to slow down. I know NASA will ask for some more insight, and I know that SpaceX is not going to slow down. So there'll definitely be a balance there, but I'm sure that they'll be able to strike it.
Absolutely, sure. From Barney Jr. Love the work you guys do. Is Jack in Boca today for the flight? Also, should we be seeing official confirmation from SpaceX soon? This is a little while ago.
Yeah, a while ago. Scrub for today, unfortunately. Jack is in Boca Chica, but scrub for today. And DK, let me do this real quick.
Yeah, what's up?
Wondering what the next attempt is going to be. A lot of the paperwork is in place for tomorrow. So
very soon.
There are road closures, there's flight restrictions, there's marine hazard zones. Those are all scheduled for tomorrow. But SpaceX, of course, is going to be watching the weather and talking about these evacuations and stuff like that. So a lot of times that's not official government paperwork when it's the evacuation. That's literally somebody calling Mary and saying, "Hey, could you leave by like noon?" Not really. I mean, I made that up a little bit, but that's sort of how it goes. And we will be watching for more information and let you all know what it is that we hear. So make sure you follow along on Twitter. The main account is at NASA Spaceflight. Follow that on Twitter. Mods, put that link into chat. And we know that it's a possibility for a flight tomorrow from a paperwork, government, logistic, closure, safety perspective. Winds and weather and the readiness of Starship may be the limiting factor there. So we would have to wait for SpaceX to give us some clues on that via evacuations and via their own website.
So is that, to my understanding, also like just standard procedure for whenever they have any sort of launches to also have days planned and the paperwork filed ahead of time, like with the with the FAA, I think.
Yeah, usually a lot of times you'll see that. You'll see like primary day and backup day in the road closures and stuff like that. So absolutely, they know the nature of these tests. They know that they're dealing with a rocket that's pursuant to the weather. It's governed by the weather. As the weather not, it's able to fly. So they do build in backup days so that every single time the weather scrubs them, it's not 100%. Oh, okay, now we got to start from scratch and follow the paperwork again.
I've got an update on our CHIFs from Burmos. The Confederatio Helvetica Frank, the CHF. The Franks of the Swiss Confederation, I think. As always, thanks for the stellar coverage.
All right. And we are sort of spooling things down here, y'all. Again, it is a scrub. We wanted to make our way through some of the super chats that were remaining. No way that we can always get through them. Lynn Tosh said, "Thank you for all your fabulous coverage. May the 4th be with SN15. If the wind is down, then we're waiting for the haze to burn off." We were waiting for them to actually evacuate the village, Lynn, and we heard that they are not evacuating the village. They told Mary, who would need to evacuate, that was not happening today, that it is an official scrub. So I don't think it would have anything to do with haze or visibility. They've launched in super no visibility before with the last test.
It's...
Yeah. So, but
that was an interesting live stream to watch.
to watch the palm tree and the 3 yuccas in the foreground, right?
Right.
And stainless steels, foggy with a chance of stainless steel raining from the skies. So, Michael Dame, thank you. Says, "Thank you guys and gals for your efforts. Hi from the Netherlands." Where are you at? Like, where's your scroll bar at, DK? Are you about the middle?
I'm about the middle. Yeah, I keep on sort of going back and forth a little bit here now.
Okay. I got James Middleton watching from Adelaide, Australia. Harry Tuttle says, "Thank you, NASA Spaceflight, for what you do."
Germano Lira. Let's see. I would be interesting to see SpaceX launching Starship in Brazil. Technically, it is one of the best places to launch rockets, being able to save 30% of fuel. I love NASA Spaceflight.
Depending on where you're going, for orbits that go around the equator, so you're going to like stationary in an equatorial orbit or low inclined orbits, it's fantastic to launch from the equator because you get to jump off the moving escalator, sort of the rotation of the Earth, sort of
Yeah,
slingshot.
you're using the rotation of the Earth itself to help a little bit.
Yep, just like in Kerbal, it helps.
I
So
know some things.
yeah.
Harry Tuttle with a $20 super chat. Thank you, NASA Spaceflight, for what you do. Harry, thank you very much for the support.
Cool. I think we may have crossed each other because I think I just did the Harry Tuttle one. Yeah, Harry
Did you?
Tuttle.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, I did. So I think you've gone from the top down and I've gone from the bottom up, and we met in the middle. So.
All right, and there's so many more that we didn't get to, and thank you everyone, absolutely everyone, for the support, help keeping the lights on. It means a lot.
I gotta say this one, Mead Hog. First off, cool name, Mead Hog. Says, to paraphrase Darth Vader in honor of May the 4th, I find your lack of flight disturbing.
I like it.
Maybe, I don't know, it's a balance there, like the Force, all things in balance. They don't fly for a reason, because the vehicle's not ready, because the weather poses an issue, because it's not safe for some reason. There are reasons when they don't fly. It's not just on a whim that they choose not to go. So usually when it's not flying, it's an okay thing that it's not flying, because they don't scrub without a reason. So speed read all the super chats. You just
I could speed read them. I could just go through them all the ones we didn't get to.
The Micro Machine Man. It's the Micro Machine Man.
I want to hear this happen. Let's do it.
Go for it.
I'm gonna do as many as I can, as quickly as I can. I apologize if I get anybody's names wrong.
In one breath.
And I'm not going to get amounts. I'm just going to get everybody's names because I feel like you deserve some recognition here. Paulo Henrique Santos, thank you very much. Graham D. O. Geo, Chris Mix, Matt Coppin, Musical Wolves, GOK 1970, Andrew Biko, Indian Rocks Bridge, thank you very much. Corey Hearts 57, Sim Racing, thank you. Nathan Chiang, Grant Huckstedt, Ryan Blackhawk, Jackson P. Seiler, Josh Wilson, Joshua Carney, Wishbone, Steven Schweitzberger, Alex Weigel, Lost Boss FPV, David Patrick, Lucas Brennan, Lord Anti-Government Loops Heroes are my specialty. Thank you very much. Steve Abrahard, thank you very much. Steve Baker, Giuseppe Marco Rendazzo, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the support. Martin, this one's going to get me. Stensvahagen?
I think you got it. That looks like
that's real close. Martin, thank you very much for the 100 Norwegian krona. Corey H, thank you very much. Philip Meadows, Everett Fernandez, James Brennan, Invest in Humans. Sneaky Ninja, Invest in Humans again. Paul Egan, Kaj DeWith, Anthony Asquith, Matt Hacks, Bill Sparks, David Bilodeau, Moritz Talkseldorf, Silicon Art Stations, thank you very much. Jose
Figueroa.
Figueroa, there you go. I was going to go Figuero, and it just messed me up. Figaro. Kyle Ederlach, thank you very much. Adam Erfling, Jeff Klaus, Greg Tenafloss, Kyle Erdelach, Keel Erdelach, probably. Cole Medina, thank you very much. These are all new members. Tijman Nikki Martins, Rebecca Toll, Ravco99, Cubert, Deborah Malone, Ahmed, Daniel Basarudden, all new members. Thank you guys very, very much. Steen Pill with 50 Danish krona. Thank you very much. Olvind Skogvul. Thank you very much for the 50 Danish kron. Martin Rawson with a new membership. Thank you very much for all the new members today. That's great. Absolutely great. Helps keep the lights on. Oz Opa, thank you very much for the super chat. Yannicka Quilt, a new member. I appreciate that a bunch. Hoss 011, thank you very much for the super chat. Jelly Jonas Gaming with a new membership. Dragon Trapper, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for helping keep the lights on to everybody. Space Ranger Scott Bersner, the new member. Astro Lopetek, thank you very much for the super chat. Lestercron Epi, a new member. Christopher James with the super chat.
You're just over halfway through.
My goodness, there's so many.
Good job, though.
I appreciate it. Doing it as best we can. I just want to get a little shout out to people.
Yeah.
Joseph Ratzer, thank you very much. James Middleton, Jonah N, Invest in Humans with another one. Proper Sensitive with a new membership. Mitchell Dame, maybe Dame. with a super chat. Lynn Tosh, Luke Gerard, R.H. Featherston with a $50 super chat. Thank you very, very much for the generosity and the support. KG, the new member. Mike E. with a super chat. Pavel Kubny with a super chat from the Czech Republic. Nitro Brony, thank you very much for the $6.66 Canadian.
Of course.
Luke, new member. Andy Norbury with a new membership. Thank you very much. Ticket to Mars with $19.99. Thank you very much. Rob Den Boer. KR Chak 08 with a new membership. Eric Raborn with a $10 super chat. Ellen Davies, another new member. Paul Daly, thank you for the super chat. Virtual Super Soldier with a $20 super chat. Thank you very much. Michelle Welch with a $20 super chat as well. Thank you for the support. Tessie Thurston, the Tubman, the Tuba Man, that's what it is. John Dopeker, thank you very much for the super chat. Terry Heaton, Bill Sparks, Prasana Venkas. Goodness.
Wait. Time out. I'm going to go back
Yeah.
to Terry Heaton there. Terry Heaton says, big hat tip for DK on the editing of various videos using
I
fast
didn't even read it.
historical documentation like the early days of film. So,
you know what? I remember reading Terry's comment. Well, thank you very much, Terry. I appreciate it, Anj. And thank you for watching the dailies.
praise
And
for
for what
you
it's
there.
worth, I'm not the only one using those fast motions. There's plenty of other people that we have on our team that are also working on it. I'm the latest one.
Absolutely. Well, you're doing a good
right.
job. Thank you.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you very much. We're almost done. We're getting there. Prasanna Venkatasan. Hopefully that's close enough. Alexander Ash, Hitoshi Misaki, thank you very much for the super chat. M. Fuentes, Jonathan Pays, Fossil San, Paul Lamedeline, Richard Glenny, and Andres Santiago, Peter Von Bush, Patrick, Holly Evett Bollinger, Daniel, Charles Schudrick, Wild Wolf Shibarel, Snarfer X, Dimez Recon B4. Thank you for the super chat. And Vanessa V. Klein, thank you for the super chat as well. And you're caught up.
No more super chats allowed, folks.
Yep, no.
That is the end of super chats. We have reached the end of the queue. Couldn't answer all the questions because we would spend, it's easy for you to type a question out. Takes you 30 seconds to type something out, and then we'll talk about it for 5 minutes. Also, you have hopefully hopelessly outnumbered. It's probably still tens of thousands of people here hanging out. Yeah, 22,000 people. You see that big drop off after the scrub, but that's to be expected. Everybody standing by for the launch, and then we did get official confirmation of that scrub. So, good job, DK. Thank you for reading through all those names.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that they get just a little bit of recognition there.
Yeah.
Would love to get more, but just as you said, there's way more of them than there are of us.
I mean, it's like sort of where I came from. You the same sort of way. We started, or we're Twitch streamers, and we've done all the streams on Twitch. And on Twitch, like every single little thing that gets doled out is you're like, wow, this person just followed me. And I used to read out the people that would follow the channel when I first started streaming, and it's sort of a weird transition when you go from, wow, there's no way that I can read all these names that are following me now, to here I can't even read all of the super chats, like the monetary contributions that come in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really great.
It makes me feel bad sometimes to my stomach that I can't say thank you to all these people who show up and financially support us. But at the end of the day, they don't want us to just be here reading super chats. They want us to talk about Starship. They want us to have fun. They want us to show Starship. Of course, that's why we don't use face cams. I'm not using any screen real estate to show my mug or your mug this morning, DK. It's all Starship.
Exactly. It's all about the guy on screen right there.
Yeah, so thanks just everybody across the board. Also the people over on my Twitch channel. Like often enough, I am so busy, I don't get an opportunity to read so much of the Twitch chat even just because it's so busy, but I appreciate the people over on Twitch. I got to where I was able to do this and figure out how to do this because Twitch supported me for the longest time. The people on Twitch showing up in my Kerbal streams and stuff, so thank y'all so much for supporting me so that we could get to this level. And DK, I know you're the same. You still stream on Twitch, right?
Yeah, 4 days a week.
Yeah, good. You'll still actively stream 4 days a week on Twitch. So,
yeah.
Everybody, thank you so much. Yes, Hydra, you got noticed. I did not forget Twitch. Now Twitch is being snarky about. Oh, yeah. Thanks, boss, for remembering us. Jeez. So.
I've got your Twitch chat up. There you go.
Yeah. Anyways, let's see. I don't know. Jack was moving around, but I don't know if he's going to get into a different position. But I do believe we are coming up on the time here where we would probably be calling the live stream, coming to an end. Let me see. I don't know. I'm going to say out loud, Michael, is there anything else we need to update? Again, we repeated earlier, there's paperwork in place for tomorrow, but SpaceX is going to have to watch the weather and see, right?
Correct. Hopefully this afternoon we will have a better idea of whether or not tomorrow is a possibility. The main thing we're really waiting to see is official confirmation from SpaceX. We did not get that for today's attempt. We did not get that for the previous attempt, and that is likely a sign that they were not too confident because they don't like to officially communicate something unless there's a good chance that it's going to happen. So
Right.
I think until we see SpaceX put a page up on their website saying that the attempt is on, there's always going to be a decent chance that it scrubs. But a decent chance does not mean that, or SpaceX not officially confirming it. So if it's a low probability chance, it's still a chance. That's why we went live today, because all the closures were in place. The residents have been told they might have to evacuate, but obviously they did not evacuate. So there was a chance today, but the lack of official confirmation from SpaceX makes me think they probably knew ahead of time that things were looking iffy for today. But we will be back whenever they attempt again.
Yeah, absolutely. So as always, y'all, we are going to sort of spool things down here that will end our live coverage. We'll go around the horn and introduce everybody one more time, but to reiterate, it is a scrub for today. It is a scrub for today. There will be no flight of SN15 today. So we are going to stand by. Make sure you follow at NASA Spaceflight on Twitter. Subscribe to the channel here. Click the little button. Turn on the bells. If you don't trust the bells, that Twitter follow is another good way to know what's going on. So either way you slice it, we will be keeping an eye on what's going on with Starship SN15. And when it flies, the NASA Spaceflight team will be here. The robotic crew will be on hand. Mary and Jack will be spooling up broadcast. We will cover it for you from all sorts of different angles, all sorts of different explanations. We always have a good time with these streams, and we always say thank you for joining us. So let's do this real quick. Let's go around the horn with the people involved on the broadcast again here today. Earlier on, we had Chris Bergen. He joined us from the UK for just a bit. Big fan of the Starship program over there, also the founder of NASA Spaceflight. You heard his Yorkshire accent early on in the stream. Thanks to Chris for holding it down this morning. I was over there running some robot repairs, and Chris was holding it down while that was happening. So massive thanks to him. He is actually at NASA Spaceflight. Like, he runs the at NASA Spaceflight account, and I guarantee you that if you follow that account and you turn on notifications, when we go live, you will get a notification from that account. He does not let us sneak streams. So that is a good place to make sure that you can get notified. Also, making his debut on NASA Spaceflight Live Commentary, Derek Declarations. Derek, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. It was my honor.
Yeah, that was an absolutely... I'm going to say useful. That seems like the wrong thing to say, but you were a massive
Thank you for
help.
being useful.
Thank you for being useful today.
Hey,
No,
I'll take it, man. Thank you very much.
It would have been rough if it was just me and Michael, and we didn't have somebody else there to help us read super chats and do commentary, pass on questions. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, and thank you to everybody that's blowing up my Twitter account and to my Twitch as well with all the new followers. I appreciate it a ton.
Yeah, good deal. Is your Twitch on your website, declarations.tv? Does that link to your Twitch as well?
Yep, that will link directly to my Twitch.
All right, good deal. So mods, there's the links in chat for DK right there. Probably, I'm going to guess. I mean, I'm not going to like sign you up if you don't want to be on it, but that's probably not the last we've heard of DK on the live commentary.
Can only hope. Can only hope.
All right, good deal. Well, it will be a pleasure to have you back in the future, sir. Thank you so much for helping out
Absolutely.
today.
Thank you.
All right. Folks, make sure you give DK a follow there, declarations.tv. That'll link over to his Twitch. There's some links in chat there as well. And it is not the last we will be hearing from DK or seeing daily videos, because he is one of the daily video editors. So also back over here, we've got Michael Baylor. Michael?
Yep. Another scrub, but that's the way it goes. So thank you all for your patience, and If I hear anything, I will continue to tweet out the Starship launch status checklist that people seem to like for some reason. But right now, we're at everything but the village evacuation notice and official confirmation from SpaceX. Everything but those two things are in place for tomorrow. So there's a marine hazard zone, a road closure, a TFR, and approval from the FAA for the launch. So looking promising for tomorrow so far, but I don't know what the weather is going to say about that, and I'm sure the teams will be assessing that situation late into the evening. But official confirmation from SpaceX would probably happen tonight at the earliest, and we may not get confirmation on the village evacuation until last minute. But hopefully, if things go well, we'll have some more updates this afternoon.
Yeah, sounds good. Y'all, Michael Baylor is critical to the broadcast we do here. He runs a lot of the back-end code and stuff like that handles our chat functions and super chats and stuff like that, and programs robots and all sorts of different things. Have you written an article in like the last forever?
No, I've quit writing articles because I don't have time.
There you go. So
I'm no longer a writer.
Yeah, formerly writer, but now with all the live stream work you do and keeping on top of what's happening. I mean, that is another great follow, folks, at Next Spaceflight. If you want to keep on top of what FAA notices have been done, what the status of different approvals and things like that are, statements from people, Michael does a fantastic job of getting that information out there quickly to the public on Twitter. So toss him a follow as well at Next Spaceflight. And also has the app, the Next Spaceflight app, available on iOS and Android. You can get your phone to go boop whenever there's a launch or something like that. It'll notify you of upcoming launches. You can read the launch history and which boosters are being used and all sorts of other cool statistical information available in the app, which is Next Spaceflight, just like his Twitter.
Right quick, Dust. I've got another super chat that I think is going to be relevant for us here from Wesley Heron. It's a $20 super chat. I don't think these live streams are staying up on YouTube after the event unless I'm missing them. I'm catching up on old videos from the SN45 area that are available. Can you post these live events long term to YouTube?
They are maintained long term.
I wonder
if the issue. We used to have a collection. What is it called? A collection, a playlist that has had live events in it, and I don't know that we've been adding them to that playlist. I know that they're there. I 100% know that they're there because we go back and pull stuff and look at them all the time. But I'm wondering if maybe the live stream playlist is not getting updated. You can just go to the channel and there's a button where you can click to look at past live videos, and they should all be there.
If you go to the channel homepage and scroll down to the very bottom, the last playlist is called Past Live Streams. And that is correctly updated because that is not a playlist technically, it's an automated YouTube thing. And all of our live streams are archived there.
Yeah.
And publicly viewable.
Yeah.
Oh, but it only goes back 10 months. So maybe YouTube started this thing.
Oh, interesting.
Something. I don't know.
So maybe the video should still be there, but maybe the automated playlist is not going back as far or something.
Yeah, you might have to use a search button or something to search, but we have been streaming this since SN4. So all prototypes since SN4 should have live streams for major test events.
We do a lot of live streaming. I was gonna do this right here. I'll do this really quickly since we're talking through this. But here is the YouTube. I talk really quickly as it loads. Make sure that we can see what's going on there. All right, so check this out. Here's the YouTube, right? And if you go to YouTube, you can click on videos. Wow, 392,000 subscribers?
Sounds like we picked up a few more today.
Approaching 400,000.
Yeah.
So you can, if you go to our channel there, you can go to here and click on videos. You can actually click this drop down and there's past live streams. And I'm wondering, is that what goes back only 10 months?
Yeah, that's the same thing I was looking at.
We do a lot of live streams though. Oh my gosh. So maybe there's another way to search for prior events, or maybe we need to manually put them. Look at this. There's a headless Starship. A bunch of SN8 proof testing there when Starships didn't have nose cones.
Look at that.
So maybe it's this automated search filter thing. Oh, look, there's our old, when we switched over the thumbnails. Huh.
You know, and then the thumbnails, the current ones, that with that blue and red, all of the ones with the blue and red are live streams. Is that correct?
Yes. All of the ones with the blue and red
Yep,
are live
that's
stream.
what I thought. Yeah.
Then NSF Live has a different thumbnail design, and then special videos have a different thumbnail design. So based on what the video is, the live streams do have that. So, geez, we've done a lot of live streams, and you're right. There it stops at 10 months, but there should be. That's all the way back to SN7 in the list here. Good luck watching all these. Literally hundreds of hours of live streams that we've done here on the channel. But either way, we appreciate you, and I'll have to look into that some more and see if we can figure out how to demonstrate getting to older videos, you know. But I do believe, folks, that we've gone through the entire list. Hey, also, we mentioned them a few times already, even though they didn't turn on their cameras. Massive thanks once again to both Mary and Jack. Let's put their information up
absolutely.
real quick. Mary was out there early this morning making sure all the robots were good to go, checking things in. Jack actually delivered a battery from South Padre so that we would be a little bit more comfortable about the amount of watts getting to one of the robots. And so both Mary and Jack, Mary is at Boca Chica Gal, lives right there in the village. Make sure you follow Mary, get daily updates on what's happening. She'll post up a sunrise photo or something that caught her eye. Something's getting stacked. A piece of stainless steel has a label on it. She's a fantastic follow. And then Jack Byer here as well, at the Jack Byer on Twitter. He is a big part of our team, does a bunch of the video editing, and also rolls out to be a camera operator and photographer for launches. So both Mary and Jack, do not want to miss them. They are also absolutely critical parts of our broadcast. But let's see here, y'all. I think that is going to be the end of our live coverage here for SN15 today. Again, SN15 scrubbed, paperwork in place for tomorrow. We will be standing by to see. But lastly, back from live stream control, my name is John Galloway. If you watch me over on Twitch, you may know me as Das. But you can find me around as well. My Twitch channel is twitch.tv/DasValdez. Don't ask, I'm stuck with it. And on Twitter, I'm K Space Academy. I am not as good as everybody else that has the same exact username in all the locations. Well done, DK. Very well prepared there.
I mean, I would also change mine if I could at this point, but I'm feeling a little stuck with it.
Yeah, I should probably change the Twitch channel to something. I used to go by Valdez, and it was taken when I signed up for my Twitch account. I'm like, I'm never going to use this for anything. And I just threw DOS in front of it because it wasn't taken. And now I'm stuck with it, so whatever. Anyways, folks, if you follow me, you can find me over on Twitch. Sometimes that's sort of a behind-the-scenes party that happens, and I'll be chatting during live streams over there. Sometimes, not so much when we're super busy and a little short-staffed like this, but that is that. And then also on Twitter, K-Space Academy, I mostly tweet sarcastic remarks. So if you want sarcastic remarks about the things that other people tweet, you can follow me on Twitter at K-Space Academy. Whew. But that's everybody, I think, DK. Thanks again so much for joining us. It was a pleasure having
absolutely.
you.
No, it was great to be able to pop in. This time yesterday, I did not know that I'd be doing this, so I was very happy to be able to pop in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, surprise, and we'll hope to have you back on in the future. But for now, folks, again, keep up with us. We will let you know as soon as we can share more information as to whether or not SN15 is going for flight tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for all the support. Hey, the memberships as well. I know that I don't shout out or read the member names as often, especially people that have been doing it for months on end. But members, we do not forget you. Thank you so much for making it so that we can keep doing this stuff. That being said, be on the lookout. Potentially we'll be here same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow, hoping for SN15 to fly. For now, we're going to go ahead and shut it down. Later, nerds. Thanks for watching.
Pressure looks good. Following up. Roger, roll, Atlantic. Flight downside, speed off. Speed off. Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.